Vincent.
Hi, hold on one second.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, I suppose. I'm still a little traumatized by the wrong think of so many people who don't understand the meaning of words.
Yeah, it's happening. It's getting pretty bad everywhere where people are just so stupid that, or not just stupid, but also ugly. Like you said, people pretend not to understand what you're saying. Um,
I don't even know which is worse, being really that stupid or pretending to be that stupid.
yeah, I don't know what's worse either. I think it's, yes, people pretend to be stupid. They pretend not to understand what's going on. They pretend not to get what you're saying, but some of them really can't get it. I mean, some of them really are that dumb and can't pick up on things.
I think that they're kind of invested in not understanding because they sort of get it that if they understand what you're saying, they have to obey their moral imperative to follow the logic of what you're saying, and they don't want to do it.
Well, some of them, though, I mean, if they're hardcore Christians and they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're already not having premarital sex and they're already, not, well, whatever else that they're not supposed to be doing. They're already doing all that. So it might not be that they don't want to, be chaste or whatever. I mean, that might not be the reason for those people, but for some of them, and yeah, they just don't want to change their religion. I was so disgusted by Milk Triceps in that he chose Noahidism over Islam for status only. He doesn't even like Jews. He doesn't even he doesn't even like Jews. So what the fuck? Like why would you? And because I want who chooses a religion for status? When I chose
I
Hinduism,
told you
I
that there are people who do it, and you just poo-pooed it, or you couldn't really quite believe it. And he kept saying, "I'm an engineer, you know. I'm not just any common or garden. I can't be a bloody, well, he couldn't be a Muslim because, because of all the status reasons that came with being Muslim in India. And he said, actually, I agree with a lot of what Muslims say and do.
yes, he did say that, and so if you so you agree with Islam but couldn't bring yourself to become Muslim, so you became a Noahide even though you don't like
You hate
Jews
Jews.
and you think it's a cope. He said his conversion might be a cope.
Well, at least he was honest enough to say that.
Well, it makes you lose faith in humanity a little bit.
Well, in a way, we kind of get we have the solution really. A lot of people know what they're supposed to be doing and thinking and saying, but they can't bring themselves to do it because of the, personal sacrifice required, the lowering of the status, and everybody looking at you funny. So they don't do it. And I think fundamentally it's to do with their belief. It's like, well, if you really believe that God rewarded good and punished evil, then you would, because you'd be certain of reward in either this life or the next. But if you're not really sure, and if you're only doing it because you want status, you're not going to follow the logic of your stated beliefs. So you don't do it. And therefore you tie yourself up in knots trying to explain your motivations. But I think he's quite normal for many people. I mean, on blogging theology, which is a YouTube channel of Paul Williams, he actually talks to. I remember him talking to a few Christian theologians who said, "Well, actually, I'm Muslim. I believe blah 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 blah," and it's like, "But yeah, but I'm not going to convert to Islam because of the low status and what my friends and family will say about me." So they stay in a kind of no man's land
Well,
because it's I guess it's sort of like a political party, and it's like no one wants to join a political party with only 5 members, right?
well,
Unless
that's
they're
like,
sure that that political party is going to get bigger.
well, I would like to think that if you believed in their cause, you would join them.
Yeah. But I think this is an age-old problem. I wish I could remember the name of the Chinese philosopher who said, actually, a lot of people know what they're supposed to do. They just don't do it. And it must be because, well, they're not doing it because they don't know if they're going to be rewarded or punished. But if you really believed in God and the afterlife, in which good will be rewarded and evil punished, then you do it. Certain
But you
in
you don't really believe.
well, I'm just behaving as if I believed, I'm more and more convinced now that well, that's the only way to go because
But you're
there's no point.
agnostic.
Yeah, but I am absolutely certain about the the truth of my proposition. Even if I'm not certain, I will be rewarded for it. But talking about the early birds, we've all heard of the early bird discount, haven't we? So if you go early, we're going to get this huge discount, so that when everybody piles in, well, we will be the early bird beneficiaries, and it's sort of like. I guess the first few people who became Christian or whatever, they have all the credit. It's like, oh, you poor Jews wandering, in the wilderness for 40 years, how terrible things must have been to you. Oh, apostles of Jesus, nobody liked him or admired him then, but you knew, didn't you, that he would be such a success. Oh, and Muhammad and his companions and, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, afterwards, it's like, yeah, of course you're going to become Muslim because blah, 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 blah. It's dominant religion of your region or something. But I guess you don't get much credit now for, becoming Christian or Muslim. You might get some credit for becoming Jewish because so few people are. Oh, but I listened to quite an interesting talk by Yaron Reuven. And it was quite funny. He was just saying, all these Jews and the ones that look like Jews and dress like Jews and whatever, they know nothing. They are stupid. They are, full of wrong think and heresy. And they just lead each other astray and blah 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 blah. And I thought that actually, yeah, thanks for reminding me of Carol. But I think a
Yes,
lot of people are like that. They're full of heresy.
yes, I saw your I saw your problem with her. She doesn't want Hadud laws enforced until the Mahdi comes.
Yeah. So when during the end times, it's like we all know the world is going to end. There is no doubt that God exists, and that okay, I'll support Hudud. It's like it's almost comical. Did you hear the bit when she rage quit on me, and I was just so like, what do you mean? And then she rage quit.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that. But yeah, I know you didn't like that she didn't want Hadud. Well, she's always complained about that. She's always said that's all anyone ever talks about is Hadud
No, but
ordinances.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not just that. It's like, okay, maybe, okay, I get it that as a Muslim and living in the West, you don't want people to look at you funny. But it was, all the other things because, I was just saying, I was going on and on and on about George Washington, warning against political parties, and I said, look, it's not just me saying that, Carol. It's your founding father. It's George Washington, and his speech is read out every year on his birthday in February. And it's like, oh, I don't care. I prefer Jefferson. And then when I, persisted, it's like, you just want to turn Americans into feudal serfs. And the alter, or she will accuse me of being a communist.
Mhm. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Um. Yeah. Well. Um. Yeah. I don't think. Well, I don't support a one party state because I think new parties need to be able to form to like counter the major party. You know what I mean? And I think it, even though it leads to factiousness, I think that that's, I think it's about progress. I think that you need someone else to be able to challenge you and scare you and force you. Like, what's it called? There's a word for it. There's a specific word, I think, where you start a new political party in order to scare the main political party into changing their positions. Because so what they see is that everyone is going to the new political party because it has a better message. So the main political party changes their message to fit what the people want so that they can maintain members.
Don't you think that? I mean, I don't know if you're aware that the Chinese Communist Party became capitalist without violence. They just said, well, we're going to try it out in a few special administrative regions, and if the people like it, then we'll roll it out throughout China. But we're going to just try it out in a few regions, and they did, and then it was a great success. And then I'm saying, even in a one party state, they do change their policies. So it's not like, oh, even the people who control the party sometimes want to change policies, and there is no, idea that policies cannot be changed. But
Yeah, but that might not happen.
I've just been
It
saying,
might not. It might not happen fast enough when you don't have that catalyst. Like you want a catalyst. The thing is that another political party is a catalyst. Like it hastens that. I mean, a single party state may sit around and wait to change their policies forever and ever and ever and ever while everything is going wrong. Whereas if you can just, if a bunch of kids can start a new political party, then, you know, it'll it can shake things up, Claire. This is multiple political parties is good. You can't get everyone under one big tent. I mean, you can't get
no.
everyone under.
What you do, I have read the constitution of the Chinese Communist Party, and it does actually give its members quite a lot of rights, and from it you can deduce that before the constitution gave them those rights, they didn't have it, and how it would impede, their ability to challenge anything. Actually, I'll read it for you because I think you'll find it interesting. It's really about protecting the rights of the rights of its members. So obviously it's going to be terrible if you can't if you can't criticize the the leadership. But it's not long, so I'll I think when I read it, it'll become clear to you what I mean. Full text of Constitution of Communist Party of China. But I mean, when I read it first, I thought, wow, these rights. I think a lot of members of British political parties they would probably die for these rights. I mean, obviously, I don't know if they're actually followed, because I know Chinese people would say, oh yeah, we have all these rules that's supposed to make us think we're, all, everything's taken care of, but they don't really follow it, kind of thing. Now, what is membership? Hold on. Okay, Article 4. Party members shall enjoy the right to 1. Attend relevant party meetings, read relevant party documents, and benefit from party education and training. There is actually a party school for the CCP. 2. Participate in discussions on questions concerning party policy at party meetings and in party newspapers and periodicals. 3. Make suggestions and proposals regarding the work of the party. 4. Offer well-founded criticism at party meetings of any party organisation or any member. Responsibly expose or report to the party any disciplinary or legal violation by any organisation or member. Demand disciplinary action be brought against a member known to have violated discipline or the law, and call for the dismissal or replacement of any incompetent cadre. 5. Participate in voting and stand for election. 6. Be present and plead their case at discussions held by party organisations to decide on disciplinary action to be taken against them or appraise their work and behaviour. Other party members may also bear witness or argue on their behalf. 7. Make a statement of reservation and present their views to a party organisation at a higher level, up to and including the Central Committee, in case of disagreement with a party resolution or policy, on the condition that they resolutely implement the resolution or policy in question while it is in force. 6. Submit a request, appeal, or accusation to a higher level party organisation, up to and including the Central Committee, and request that the organisation concerned issues an accountable substantive reply. No party organisation at any level, including the Central Committee, has the right to deprive a party member of the aforementioned rights. Okay, so that's kind of, I mean, you can deduce from that how a member might have his rights undermined, if it were not for Article 4. They wouldn't be, allowed to participate in, discussions and, write their messages and their newsletters and, have access to training, blah, blah, blah. But, that's it. So, if people can discuss government policy and even criticize it without getting expelled, blah, 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 then everything should be fine. So there you are. I mean, obviously there may be problems if these rules are not enforced, but if they're enforced, things should be okay. And problem solved. Because, look, there's no time to just form another party, because, you have a little party, going on about your particular concern, and nobody cares about it, right? They never care about anything until the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So, as far as the history of immigration in the UK is concerned, there was a National Front in the late 60s and early 70s. And it's like, well, if you don't live in the Midlands and you're not affected by mass immigration, then you're not going to care about the people, whose, county is affected by it. Right?
Yeah.
Until, it's everywhere, and then it's so overwhelming that you can't say anything about it anymore. So, and obviously, for such a system to work, people should be, need to be honourable. They want the best for the country. They want to follow the rules. They will enforce the rules, etc. Obviously, these rules cannot be enforced in a vacuum. And this is what I think Adams was saying, that, it's not enough for the Americans to just have a constitution, that there have to be, good men prepared to enforce it. Didn't he say something
Yeah,
like that? Okay, you're not going.
maybe.
Okay, Adams founding. Let's find the exact quote. Constitution can only be enforced by good men. Something like that. So John Adams said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Morality and virtue are the foundation of our republic and necessary for a society to be free.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't really have a democracy where everyone's messed up, because then you're just gonna have a, you're just gonna have a really bad society if everyone is immoral. I mean, isn't that the point? Like, when societies become corrupt, they become dictatorships because there's only very few people who can run it anymore, and so they need absolute power in order to keep everyone in control.
Yeah, so whoever controls the monopoly of violence, i.e. the police or the military, will be the ones in charge. And you don't want to be in a situation where force is the only way. You want people to be reasonable and abide by the rules, and that is why the rules are so important. And I keep trying to explain that, and it's like, oh, we're too cool for rules because we're so white and cool, you know. And it's like, yeah, you have to follow some rules. How can you just sort of say they don't matter and people will just instinctively know what the right thing? It's like, no, they don't know what the right thing is until it's drummed into them. And
Yeah, no, I
basically,
know.
I mean, the whole point of believing in the afterlife is like, what happened to the Sadducees was that, well, they didn't believe in God. I guess they looked at the Torah and said, well, there's nothing in it that says we have to believe in God. And actually, we don't believe in God, but we have the highest status in the ancient kingdom of Israel, because we're the priesthood and we run the temple, and maybe even tell the king what to do, and we are the priest, the highest status group in the whole kingdom of ancient Israel, and we don't care about the Pharisees and the plebs and whatever, and we do what we like, and I think that is a problem, because as we were saying earlier, people know what they should be doing, but they don't do it because they don't think they will be rewarded. And we want, I mean, the ideal situation is that the rules are clear and people know they won't be able to get away with it, so they won't even think of trying. That is the perfect, state of morality, or the sufficient state of morality that is required to run a state that isn't using the brute force of the police or the army.
Hmm.
Well, I'm glad you understand. I mean, at least you understand.
Well, yeah, people need to understand the rules. I got that.
Or
There needs
just
to
the
be
need
law.
for it. And a
Yeah,
lot of
no,
them even
then,
deny the need. It's like, oh, it's because you're Chinese. It's like, no. I mean, it shouldn't be alien to any civilized person that any group needs, any group needs a rule system. I mean, even gangsters, even the mafia, they have rules. I mean,
Yeah.
omerta is one of the rules, right? I think you obey and you tell no one, you know. And oh yeah, and of course you have an objective, like oh we are, you know, we run the vice dens, gambling dens, you know, all that. They, they have to have an objective, and then they have to, you know, have rules of behavior for, you know, members of the gang, and how to behave and who is leader, and yeah, they would know who is the Don Corleone. They would have a leader who would lay down the law, and you know, if they don't like him, I guess they can kill him or remove him more peaceably. But that's the basics of running a group. And I was just talking to my mother, and then I realised there's no one in charge of Western civilization until the 20th of January, when Trump is inaugurated, and that's why Musk is flexing his muscles and, you know, telling the British government what to do. It's kind of outrageous, really, what he's doing.
I know.
But you
Musk,
know,
Musk thinks he's vice president.
I know, I know, and you can see Starmer. He doesn't quite know what to do. It's like, well, okay, I don't quite know. I better not do anything, and maybe I can wait until after inauguration, and maybe between now and inauguration, something might happen to Trump. I can just, you know, see that's how he's thinking. It's like I don't want to, you know, do anything too risky. I'll just pretend not to hear, and just, you know.
You know. Yeah. So you saw. I sent you the teaching Noahide in the schools now. Finally, you always were like, you never heard of education and sharing day when you were in school. You know, this is the thing, Claire. They took 40 plus years from education and sharing day, talking about getting this into the schools, to actually doing it. 40 plus years it took them. You know,
I
are
wonder if it's
they,
anything to do with the death of President Carter, because he was the one who started the whole thing, right? And he just
you
died
know,
at the as a centenarian. Cent, did I say it right? But he was the one who started it. But yeah, I think it's a good thing because, you know, I mean, the whole idolatry thing is, if you're an idolater, it means you don't follow scripture. And it's true that Christians don't follow scripture. You talk to Catholics and they say, well, we never, in any time of our history, followed the New Testament anyway. We never did. So it's basically the Pope making it up as he goes along,
yeah,
or any Pope. So,
you know,
you know, they never even had a history of doing it. You know, it wasn't like, oh, they suddenly stopped doing it. They never did it. And that is a problem of, you know, allowing your ruling classes to make up the rules as they go along. Because you
well,
can't hold them accountable. You can't even say, oh, but you said this thing. It's like, well, I've changed my mind now. That's what they'll say to you. You passed this law saying, you know, yeah, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, but they'll just change the law and say, well, you know, that law no longer is in force. You're out of luck. You're shit out of luck.
yeah, well, um, let's, oh, and then you said it's a good thing. Now the rabbis, first the rabbis were pushing for a Department of Morality. Now the rabbis are pushing for Trump to use the inauguration to spread Noahide law. And you said that's a good thing.
Yeah, because I think that will make the Muslims spring into action because they're also riled up by, you know, what's happened to the Gazans kind of thing. Well, I'm going to tell them, like, well, you need to tell these rabbis, you need to keep inviting these rabbis to tell you, to rank, to ask them to rank the four Gentile religions, and even if they don't, you'll put them on a list, or as you know, being a rabbi who refuses to rank the four Gentile religions and refuses to explain why the Torah is better than the Quran. And it's like, that's all you have to do. It's so easy. You don't need to argue with them. You just need to do. And then they
Well,
can maybe um, write letters to King Charles asking him how Christianity is not idolatry and how Jesus is God.
well, well,
He
we'll
won't be able
see.
to answer.
You,
Maybe he'll
you are,
convert to Islam in mortification
look,
and
I've
penance.
always told you, if Muslims are waiting for Trump to announce Noahide law to spring into action, then it's too late. If Trump is announcing it, that means that they've they've gone so far and so deep and have so much control. Is that what Muslims are waiting for in order to say anything?
Well, the
For
moment has
Trump?
to be ripe. So what he launched, the launch is like, Jews, what is this first no-hide law, no idolatry? What do you mean? Right, and then you can see the rabbis just running out of the room, because the next question is, Christianity, is Christianity idolatry? What are they going to say?
Well,
Yes
they'll
and no. They're
say,
going to say yes and no. They're going to say yes and no.
well, yeah, they'll say yes and no. And no, at first they're just going to say, oh, it's Shatu. They're going to go with Nachmanides. I told you I sent you that I finished the book review for Same God, Other God by Alon Goshen Gopstein. And it was about, is Hinduism idolatry or not? The whole book was about that. And he went into the three main rabbis who would rule on this. And so first was Miri, who's the most lenient, who would allow everything as long as basically the people were good to the Jews, like Hindus are. As long as you're not killing Jews or killing anyone or doing whatever, then you're fine. Even if you do have idols, as long as you're being a good person, then it's fine. And then came Nachmanides, who made a distinction between outright idolatry, which he would not allow, versus soft idolatry or pseudo idolatry, which he would allow. And then there was Maimonides, who just said even Christianity is idolatry, even Shatuf is impermissible. You know what I mean? It's even Shatuf is impermissible. So what I said is that they're going to roll this out in phases, even with Christianity, the same way they're going to do with Hinduism. First, it'll be Miri, okay, no matter who you are, as long as you're not murdering or stealing, then you're fine and don't worry about it. Then Nachmanides, as long as you're practicing Shatuf, it's fine. And then in the end, Maimonides, where it's only monotheism, and that's it. And, that's it. It's they have a different plan than you do, Claire. And the fact that this took them 40 years, they're very patient. They're very, 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 very patient. But I think the time of patience has come to an end. I think they're ready now. Trump is in. Trump is their man. Um, you know what I mean? He's nothing but Zionist. He loves Orthodox Jewry. He loves Chabad. His daughter is Chabad. His daughter prays at Rabbi Schneerson's grave, and you know what I mean.
Which is
It's pretty messed up.
idolatry.
Why praying at someone's grave is idolatry?
No, no, no. Apparently, they refuse to even say that he's dead, and have said words to the effect that they believe he's going to be resurrected like the Messiah. Something like that. I mean, really crazy stuff. And then there was some kind of ceremony where they pretend to give him one or something. I saw it on the video. So, but anyway, other Jews are saying, Chabad have certainly strayed into idolatry with their holy rabbi. So,
Yeah.
they're all pretty messed up, really. And, and also for the Sufis, they have this weird idea that God is everywhere. It's like, no. And a lot of Muslims say, no, you can't think of God as being everywhere. Because then you think, is he in the toilet? Is he in the sewage treatment works and horrible places like that? So their conception, the Sufi conception of God, is wrong and needs to be revised. And I know that Carol is of that school. That's why she gets so upset with me
She's of the
for
school that God is
questioning her
everywhere.
beliefs. Yeah, Sufis
She,
apparently think God is everywhere.
yeah, Carol told me that some Muslims believe that God is immanent inside the creation, but I don't think most Muslims believe that.
Yeah, I think Sufis do, and they also worship the saints. And when I mention it to Carol, she denies it, but not in a convincing way, or not in a way that I can remember. The reason was so and now if she's just going to say that she's not going to support any hudud punishment until she's absolutely certain God exists and the world is about to end. Really, what is the point? Because really, the whole thing about this bargain, if you accept that this is a bargain, it is, well, here are the rules, here's the story. You can choose to believe it or not, but if you choose to believe in it, then you will have to look upon your life as an exam that you have to pass in order to we're going to get eternal life anyway, because the whole idea is that, we have our immortal souls and we will have eternal life either in hell or in heaven. So obviously we want to go to the better place, and the way to get into the better place is to obey God's laws. That's it.
Mhm.
Why do you
Oh,
sigh? It makes it so simple. I don't know why people can't just adopt it. It's like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to do the exam. I want to get to the better place. Is it too simple? Do you want some mumbo jumbo and hocus pocus for me to?
well, this mumbo jumbo in the Quran. I mean, people are not going to believe that story that Jonah was in the stomach of a whale and all that kind of stuff. Nobody's going to believe that.
Look, for, they don't need to believe in it. They just have to absorb the lesson of Jonah, who's basically,
Okay,
well,
but
he.
people don't think like you, where they can just view the Quran in an agnostic way and skip over all the stories and just look at the laws and that's all they care about. Most people are not like that. Most people, if they find that the Quran is illegitimate, are not going to think that it came from God.
Well, even if it didn't come from God, it's still better than anything we can think of. We tried the Bible and it didn't work because it's just a mishmash, right? And the Jews don't really follow their own religion.
Well, the religious ones do, and they have
But
the
they have no
Noahide laws.
power. Everybody ignores them and thinks they're
Not
crazy and
anymore. Not
weird.
under Trump. They have plenty of power under Trump now. This thing that religious Jewry has no power is absurd. Chabad, when Chabad did their this big thing in Russia. They had 30 of the most richest Orthodox Jews in Russia, and they said that their combined wealth was either billions or trillions. You know what I mean? They were so wealthy, and it was just Orthodox Jews in Russia.
Okay, well, I'm a bit dubious about it, but I don't think they have. Okay, I'm trying to think of the most, influential Western person who's an intellectual, and I can only think of Jordan Peterson and what's his name? Richard, what's his name? Who is
Spencer,
that atheist?
Richard Spencer,
Huh?
Richard Spencer,
No, the atheist. I know it's
Dawkins,
Richard.
Richard Dawkins.
That's right, thank you. And before that was Christopher Hitchens. I mean, those are the true Western intellectuals that, non-Westerners might have heard of. And they're not that great, really. I mean, who else is there now? It's still Jordan Peterson, isn't it, with his self-help books and stuff. I mean, that's not going to impress anyone. Okay, maybe Dugin. I mean, I guess Dugin is kind of, yeah, the rival, the anti-Western rival. But I really can't think of anyone. I mean, forget theology because nobody takes Christian theology seriously. And and the thing is, it is actually the secular Jews who are more powerful.
Not anymore. They're losing that power. That whole interbreeding and losing their Judaism, have no connection to Israel, and then they're on their way out. Orthodoxy is the new rising power. Claire, I think you have a lack of insight into future events. I mean, I think you only focus on immediate who has power right now. Let me go to who has power in the moment. Let me not think about the future. Let me not plan for the future. It's just everything is like what is happening, what is the most convenient move in the moment. And that isn't even the way the Jews think. They realize that they didn't go for the right now. They got their they prepped the soil, and they didn't wait for they didn't just go for what was convenient in the moment. They foresaw the future. They foresaw that it would take a while for people to accept the Noahide laws, and they acted accordingly. And I don't think you can see that Orthodoxy is the new rising power and that liberal secular Jewry is on its way out.
Well, I don't see, a wave of religious fervor in the West that is not Islamic. I just don't see it. It's not reported anyway. And if it were really happening, people would change their behavior, and there's just no desire to change their behavior. Well, these are sort of, but I think even without wanting to do it, just by saying that they're going to do these things will generate some discussion. Because I guess ultimately it is pain that makes people, desperate enough to do something that might just work. Otherwise it's just theory, isn't it? In theory, many people in my country are complaining about immigration, but it hasn't really affected my life in a bad way. So I don't think I'm going to stick my neck out over this. That's how most people think.
Well, most people, I'm not sticking my neck out about Noahide anymore. If you're just going to allow it into the schools and have your children taught that it's being about good people, and you're not going to protest, what the fuck am I putting all this time and energy into all this for? Nobody's going to fucking do anything if people are just so lazy, inept, and stupid.
Well, I mean, ultimately, people are just not going to react until they are given the green light. And who gives the green light? It is the fourth estate. It is social media or legacy media. It's like, we're going to get excited about this thing and we're going to welcome this or reject this or whatever, because if, if it's not reported, then it hasn't happened. And that is why media is so important. And that's why we need the attention of the media, and we have to give them a story, assuming they're still interested in reporting a story. And maybe even if they don't want to report it, they might be forced into reporting it because everybody is talking about it, that they can't avoid it. And that is why I think you could help. I was talking to Rashma, and she was actually saying, I expect World War III to break out any minute now. It is the end times, isn't it? And maybe, Carol is kind of expecting the end times, maybe sooner than we think. Maybe she thinks the end times, it's, I don't know, 2029.
Yeah, everyone has different times and seasons and.
Well, like it's not, centuries ahead. But I'm saying, okay, we can go with that. If you want the end times to be upon us, we can, be talking about, the Messiah, his identity, and blah, blah. And, and the idea of a Messiah substitute. And it's just like, okay, it's just a trolling thing. It's just a meme. Okay. But it can run and run, I think. I just have to think of a meme for it, I guess. Yeah, I think that's what I'll have to do. It shouldn't be that hard with AI.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was interesting talking to Grok the other day about God and omnipotence and everything like that. And you learn that God can't kill himself even if he wanted to. He wouldn't be able to do it, or at least under certain interpretations, which is a limit on his power, right? So he's not all powerful because he can't kill himself, so he's not all powerful.
No,
And then I know what you're going to say, but why would he? Why would he want to? But that's not the point. So let's just move on because I don't want to get in that conversation again.
Okay, did you have a point to make about that?
No, I'm just saying that God is not omnipotent. A God is not all powerful.
Well, it's not conclusive, is it? It's one of those positions you can take and then you can say, oh, prove me wrong. It's like, well, obviously I can't prove you wrong because I haven't met God and, I mean, there's no way of proving it because it's so speculative. But we have to think, I think, the whole system is you have to resolve the tension between bad stuff happening in the world and the existence of a loving and perfectly moral God. So why does God allow us to suffer? Particularly if we haven't done anything wrong. So that's a question, and because a lot of people say, well, if God allows this terrible thing to happen and all these other terrible things to happen, then I don't think he exists. He can't exist because he allowed this terrible thing to happen. And I think the answer must be that we're meant to think why he allows evil. And I'm saying it's actually quite easy to understand. If this life is an examination hall, then obviously we need to be given a range of choices to choose from, such as good and evil. And to extend the analogy of an examination even more, it's like, well, there will be examination questions. And these So every single question that we have to answer is about, here's good and here's evil. How are you going to choose? It's like, yeah, we sort of know you know what the right answer is, but when it comes to the crunch, will you actually choose to do the right thing, or are you just going to, come up with some crappy excuse
What
to
do you
not
think
do
of
it?
what do you think of Andrew Tate wanting to be Prime Minister of England now and seriously moving forward with it?
I think he's gone mad. It's embarrassing, really.
You think he's gone mad?
Yeah, what he's called the party bruv? I mean, what the hell? I think he's gone mad.
You think so?
Don't you?
Well, I think he's serious.
Yeah, which is why I think he's mad. Would you do something like that?
Well, I wouldn't.
The other thing is you don't understand politics if you think you can just start a party and, you know, get elected, however rich you are. And he's not that rich. I mean, even Trump knew that he couldn't just start a party in America. He sort of knew that he would have to, be platformed by the, GOP and, you know, go through the right channels.
What does bruv mean, bro?
I don't even know why. You know, I mean, he's just echoing, slang, I guess. Why is it called
Yeah,
bruv? Good question. I'll look it up. Because it might as well be bruh, right?
yeah. I
It's some
think bruv.
variation of bro.
Yeah. It sounds like Noahide, bruh. Noahide, bruh is becoming a little. Oh, did you know? There was a black Jew, um, and I think he was a rabbi, or if he wasn't a rabbi, he was a learned Jew, and he said that Noahides have the power of prophecy.
Do they?
That's what he said.
Well, I've never heard of. I mean, the whole thing of prophecy is that maybe you can foretell the future if you're you're a prophet.
Yeah, well, that's what he said, that they're capable of prophecy. That's what his position was.
Uh huh.
Which
Okay,
I
so do
think,
do you want to know what BRUV stands for? Britain Restoring Underlying Values. Britain Restoring Underlying Values.
but doesn't bruv mean something on its own?
I don't know.
Look up Urban Dictionary, put in Urban Dictionary, and then type in bruv.
A word used by mainly South Londoners. It's a shorter version of brother, which is a slang variation of brother. That's what it
Yeah.
says on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, bruv means bro. Bruv
So,
means bro.
yuck.
Yeah. Bruv means bro. I knew bruv means bro. Vote bro.
Vote bro. And then you can think of all the oiks and the, bro-looking people just sort of looking like Andrew Tate clones. Yuck.
I didn't know that a foreigner could run for prime minister in England.
Well, he's half British. He
No,
grew up
but
in Luton.
he was born in America.
Yeah, but I think he lived for a time in Britain.
I know, but like in America, you cannot become a president if you were born in another country. It's impossible. You can't become a president if you were born in England. So I'm surprised that an immigrant can become president of England.
Well, we don't have that condition, I guess. Oh, did you see that disgusting ad? It was for the replacement of Trudeau, and there was this very Indian sounding person.
No, they're everywhere now. They've become, yeah, I told you, I predicted this a long time ago that these people were going to rise to preeminence in the West and start taking over. And everyone was like, oh, please, that's ridiculous. And it's here now. You
We
know,
gotta do something, Vincent.
well, the
We
Muslims
gotta
aren't doing
save
anything.
the white people from themselves, even
I
if they
haven't
don't
heard.
deserve to be saved.
I mean, the only Muslim that I see that's making a huge deal out of the Hindu Noahide takeover of the West is and he's not even Muslim. He was born Muslim, and he has a Muslim like he's Muslim-ish. Is Myron Gaines, maybe Sneeko, but that's just nobody's going to take them seriously because they're racist and they make racist comments and oh Pajeet stink like no but that's not going to get you anywhere in the H1B oh but Indians smell bad like are you fucking kidding me that's your like that's your tagline to get them out of the country.
Well, I thought the most prominent Muslim in America would be Daniel Hakikachu, who went to Harvard and is great at debate.
Yeah, but he's not I know you said he mentioned the Hindus, but they're not the I don't know. I think the Muslims are spiritually blind, and because of my Jehovah's Witness background, I'm not going to get involved with a group that's spiritually blind because that means that there's something off. They don't have, they don't have the power behind them, and Muslims obviously do not have the power behind them. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
the,
because they're so divided and so stupid.
well, that speaks for something. There's something wrong. There's something wrong, and like, I was taught that if you come across the people that are just not up to par, don't they don't have it. They don't have it.
Well, they're just not using the right argument, in my view.
I know, but I mean, how many centuries do you need in order to get it together? Jehovah's Witnesses got it together from the very beginning, and they're only a century and a half old. And
Yeah, because you all began in the same country and you're still in the same country, and it's like Muslims, they're just all over the place. And
no,
because they've
but
been
Jehovah's
around for so
Witnesses
long,
are
they all have their different branches of jurisprudence, and they're all in
yeah, I
different
know. Well,
countries.
it's factious, it's infighting. Everyone calls everyone a Zionist and a shill. If they
You
disagree,
make them
they're
sound like white nationalists.
they're all murdering each other. The Alawites are getting murdered by the Sunnis, and the Shias are hated by the Sunnis, and it's it's not anything that it's getting involved in the Muslim community is like entering the swamp. You know what I mean? It's like division, hatred.
Well, that's any politics. I mean, talking about the swamp, that's what Trump called
Well,
Washington.
I'm not used to that. Jehovah's Witness is not a swamp. When you enter it, it's not a swamp. It's not like everyone's fighting with each other and divided. They all have one structure, one belief system, one way. And if you don't do it the right way, you're not one of them. That's it.
Yeah, because you've got the structure,
Well,
and it's fiercely enforced.
yes, but nobody else does that. Nobody else does
Because
that.
they're so
Even
scattered and speaking different languages and being in different countries and having their different
yeah,
traditions and
well, yeah, well.
forgetting that they're supposed to how they're supposed to behave
Okay,
towards
well
each
then
other.
maybe God chose, maybe God chose Jehovah's Witnesses then, because number one, they're not idolatrous. They don't believe in the Trinity, and you know, they obviously have internally, even though there's not as many of them, internally they're much more cohesive and friendly to each other and nice to each other, and they are one of the fastest growing religions in the earth. People do fear them. Muslims fear them. They ban them. Azerbaijan bans them. You cannot be a Jehovah's Witness in Azerbaijan.
Oh, I didn't get the impression that Jehovah's Witnesses were these were this unstoppable force.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear
Oh,
me?
I can't hear you. Hold on.
Hello. Yeah. Oh, Ricardo wants to join us. Hello, Ricardo.
Claire, I couldn't hear what you said in the last minute.
I've sort of forgotten. Ricardo wants to join us. I posted the link.
Good.
I hope he
Can
hasn't
you
gone
can
away.
you Yes, if Ricardo comes on, I'm going to step away for 20 minutes maybe. If Ricardo comes
Okay.
on, because unless you want to end the stream if he doesn't come on. Hold on one second. Hello,
Hello.
hello. Yeah. Um. Um. Well, as I was
Yeah.
saying, Muslims fear them because Azerbaijan bans them. I don't. They are the most banned religion on earth. I think they're either one of the most banned religions on earth or the most banned religion on earth. Um. Russia doesn't like them. Jehovah's Witnesses. There was a Jehovah's Witness that got arrested in Russia, and it wasn't for crime. It wasn't like for any kind of like I don't know what maybe he was preaching too much. Maybe he was preaching in the wrong area. Maybe there's restrictions on them. Actually, let's look that up. I want to see what the restrictions on Jehovah's Witnesses are in Russia, because they did arrest them, and all the Jehovah's Witnesses made a big deal out of it as usual. Let's just look. What is the status of Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia? France also hates them. They're on the dangerous cult list in France. At least they were when I was a child. Oh, Jehovah's Witnesses were banned in Russia by the Supreme Court in 2017 as an extremist group, leading to the closure of their headquarters and local chapters. However, the European Court of Human Rights ruled in 2022 that the ban was illegal. Since then, more than 50 Jehovah's Witnesses have been imprisoned in Russia and Crimea. So, I mean, Russia is not some totally backward, backwater nation, you know.
So, one of the tenets of Jehovah's Witnesses is what not joining the army. Is that?
Yes, no, you can't join the army.
Well, I mean, that's probably why it's like we don't want you around if you're not going to join our army. If you have a religious principle of, not joining the army, we don't want you.
Yeah, I
Because we
know,
want you
but
to, be our cannon fodder in our imperial wars.
no, doesn't that just mean that they're smarter? Doesn't that just mean they're too smart to go to war? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and yeah, and like they were well aware that they are anti-government, not in that they like commit terrorism against governments, but they believe they're ruled by Satan. They don't vote, they don't go to war, they cannot become judges, or they cannot become political appointees, any of that kind of stuff. um they can't vote, they can't become an elected official, lots of things that they can't do in order to separate themselves from the government. And I just wish I wasn't raised that, because then I would be more normal and just have a normal life. And
Oh,
I was
but
tell
Vincent, we would never have met.
I know, but it would have been nice to have had. I mean, I mean, even all these men that I see that were raised in normal culture who are just dumb, at least I would have companionship.
Well, you do. You're married.
But you want companionship as in friends. There's a whole Wikipedia persecution of Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. There's a whole entire wik. Well, and it's short, but it's still here.
And was the reason because they wouldn't fight?
Um.
Hey,
Oh,
Hi, Ricardo.
hey. Um, by the way, Vincent, I have to say I have never agreed with you before, and I really liked what you had to say about the Hindu. You call it the Noahide Hindu takeover of the West.
yeah,
Um, See, I look at it as like there's like a Zionist Hindu coalition against Islam, right? I mean, is
yeah.
that and it's kind of like, as white people, as we get further away from the Holocaust, it's like the ability to manipulate the West with that narrative for, both the natives and like the POC like doesn't really work. So they like need like new anti-Muslims, or, I don't know, not necessarily like Jew. They're not Jew lovers per se, but they're like, enemy of my enemy kind of thing.
Well, no, they are Jew lovers, and the reason that I've become so look, I was a Hindu for 10 years, and when I was there, yes, I thought it was just political, like we love the Jews because they're anti-Islam. But even then, but before I knew certain things, there was this element of, oh, the Jews are so smart, they're so successful, there's so few of them, they're so powerful, yet they're so powerful, and like, can't we be like the Jews? Can't we be organized like them? Can't we get it together? They have an ethno state. Can't we get an ethno state? So there was bigger things there. But then once I left, I realized that there were deeper spiritual connections there that were going on, in that the Hindus are more monotheistic, and so therefore they would fall under the Noahide laws. And there's lots of rabbis that are trying to say that Hinduism is a Noahide religion. So there's a deeper spirituality there that can't be ignored.
So you think the Noahidism is like what is the umbrella bringing that is like the underpins the alliance between the Jews and the and the Hindus.
I don't know if it's the underlying or pinning. I think it's an addition. I think it's an addition. And I think that the Jews were not planning on Hindus being their saviors and minions. I think that they did not plan this throughout history. I don't think they were thinking about it. I think this is something that presented itself on their doorstep without them even asking for it. And they've taken it. And everyone's like, oh, but Islam is so much more Noahide compliant. Well, but you also have to be good to the Jews in order to be Noahide compliant. You can't just be a monotheist. You can't, like they said, you can't go around killing Jews and then call yourself a Noahide.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah. And it's interesting though. Like I wonder though if like the Jews are going to basically, like, let's assume, like, under your framework that they're sort of like bringing they're bringing the Hindus under their wing to support them as minions. But like I think they might even supplant themselves, because like the Indians are almost like brown Jews, and they get like the benefit of being brown with the masses, you know, and they're more tightly organized right now. Like I think they assimilate even less well than Jews, probably because of skin color. So it's interesting. And then Claire, are you still like? I mean, you're such a philo-Semite. I mean, are you? We haven't really talked since October 7th. I mean, do you feel like secular Quranism and international Jewry are still best buds?
No, no, of course not. They hate the idea, but they can't really argue against it, and so that's why they never
Claire,
engage. Yes.
are you talking to me or Claire?
I was asking
Nicole was
Claire.
talking to me,
Yeah, I
and
think she stepped away for a second.
you can't hear
But
me.
I
You
just
can't
want
hear
to
me.
say what you said, that yes, the Jews could supplant themselves. Actually, I did an interview yesterday or the day before with a stated Hindu Noahide. He's Hindu and Noahide. He's combined the two, and he's not the first to do it.
That's not Hinduism then. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
That's
Can you
okay. But he
hear?
said, but he was anti-Semitic, and he wanted a Hindu Noahide elite to rule, and wanted nothing to do with the Jews. So they're actually like absorbing this and running on it with their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they could supplant. I don't know. There's another Hindu Noahide Bra, on there, and yeah, they're basically they're going rogue. These Noahides are going rogue because the thing is that the Jews are very like plotting and planning and slow about it, and the Noahides are all like revved up and want to get it done, and let's get these courts in and everything. So they're kind of running ahead of the Jews now.
I mean, it's interesting. Listen, I got to run, but you know, I find it funny how Duvid sort of unites. I mean, is Duvid a Noahide? He sort of unites these threads in himself. He's truly the ultimate villain. But anyway, I got to go. Vincent, nice to talk to you. I'm interested to hear more from you about this subject. Anyway, all right, y'all take care. Thanks, Claire.
Yep. Anupama, are you here?
Right here. Yeah, I'm here.
Are you a
I
Hindu?
I am. Oh, there's Claire.
Yeah, there's Claire. Claire, we have a. So you say that if someone is a Noahide and a Hindu, they're not really a Hindu.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, why is that? Since most Hindus are some form of monist or monotheist.
That doesn't have anything to do with the no-hide laws.
Yeah, you have to be a monotheist, or at least you have to be practicing Shatuf, which is a blend of monotheism and polytheism, which accurately describes Hinduism. So what's the problem? So let's go through it. Hindus are at least monistic or monotheistic enough to be considered Noahide compliant. They don't blaspheme. They practice sexual morality. They don't murder. They don't steal. They do not eat the flesh cut from living animals, and they establish courts of justice. So what are they doing wrong that they couldn't be considered Noahide?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a stretch to just take like common. Well, then every religion is Noahide,
Well, no,
except maybe paganism or something.
yeah, paganism wouldn't be Noahide. Well, the thing is that every religion that isn't paganism and is not Islam would be considered Shatuf, which I don't know if you know what Shatuf is, but Shatuf is just basically not quite monotheism, not quite polytheism, something in between.
But that's again a Hebrew word, right? So that's a Jewish classification of other religions, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it is.
I see. So again, that's maybe their frame of reference, but wouldn't the Talmud contradict the same Noahide laws? Like the Talmud advocates for PDF stuff and shit. So how is
Well,
that being reconciled?
I mean, they kind of, I guess, in their world, there's a distinction between child and adult when it comes to sexual immorality. I mean, I guess that's the distinction that they chose to make. And if they chose to make that, then I mean, I'm not supporting it, but uh, I guess they also allowed the Zoroastrians to practice incest. So, yeah, I know that they're hypocrites, but are most Hindus seeing through that? I mean,
Well, most Hindu, I don't even know, like if they're practicing Hinduism. So it's that's a big debate there. But if you know, like lots of Hindus won't read in Sanskrit and stuff. So I mean, if you're referring to those Hindus, then I think you might come to a much smaller pool.
yeah, well, as long as they're not offended by no idolatry, I don't see what's going to stop them from uniting with the Noahide laws. When I was in the Hindu community, I said that word 5,000 times. I'm like, no idolatry, no idolatry, no idolatry. That's what the Noahide laws say. And I couldn't get a single Hindu to get any emotional reaction. They don't consider themselves idol worshippers. They are
Agree.
so, huh?
I agree with that. I don't believe I'm an idol worshiper. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. Do you believe that God takes physical form or no?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, so many Hindus that I've talked to say that God does not take physical shape. So they say, well, it's not
But then what
idolatry.
about Puranas and the Mahabharata, Ramayana, 10 incarnations, Dashavatar? What about all that?
Well, it's not a full incarnation of the full deity or not deity, the full Brahman, number one. Number two,
Brahma never
oh,
incarnates.
and number two, another thing is that um, all this idolatry, Puranic Hinduism is only about 2,500 years old. Prior to 3,000
Puranas
years,
come from the Vedas, so and Vedas do describe rituals. They talk of the gods. So
yes,
Vedas
but
are over 5,000 years old, the four original, and the Puranas are derived from that.
well, it's just that there are no idols in the Vedas, in the Samhita Veda, and
There's no idols in Hinduism. It's images.
well, there was no image worship in ancient India. It's a new invention,
What do you mean
uh,
image worship?
Murti Puja.
Okay, but puja was there.
Puja, maybe ritual ceremony,
Puja is age old.
huh?
I said puja is age old, and the murti would be a tree or a snake pit or, some a stone that a cow spontaneously gave milk on. So yeah, maybe they were not like the sophisticated, human-looking images of today, but they did have a murti because you have to consecrate the life force energy or prana somewhere. You can't have it in a concentrated form just like that around you. So something has to be the container, so to speak. So there's always been a container, and that's been physical. Now, whether people want to call that an idol, I mean, I don't, but that's up to people to decide.
Okay, well, I mean, you talk to different Hindus and you get different kinds of opinions, but well, that Arya Samaj, the thing is that the
This
Noahide
isn't
laws.
an opinion, though, Vincent. I'm just giving you the straight facts, and you can go to the Vedas in Sanskrit and read, and this is what it's saying. I'm not giving you an opinion.
Okay, well, I mean, I know you're saying that it's not an opinion, that it's fact, but obviously there's lots of Hindus that don't know that, and I would have to say that very few know that, and I think they're trying to turn Hinduism into Arya Samaj is basically what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
Um,
but Arya, what is Arya? What is that? That's a
well,
that's a cloud con.
Arya Samaj. I mean, noble group. Doesn't Arya Samaj mean noble noble council or something like that.
Yeah, Samaj is group, but Arya is a very elusive word, and then Arya Samaj is a very new organization this century. I'm pretty damn sure.
Well, they're trying to go back to old Vedic ways of life. They call temples Puranic. They call Murti Puja Puranic. Um, they call them all these different kinds of things, and they're trying, and that's what, that the Jews are trying to bring Hindus back to Murti-less Vedic Samhita Vedanta. Um, that's what they basically want you practicing.
Yeah, but the age-old Rig Veda denies that.
Denies what?
What you're saying, like a sterile, like what is that? Like you can't worship murtis or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, that's supposedly.
Yeah,
Well,
Rig Veda is the oldest Veda. So if Hindus are reading the Vedas, that's on them and their parents and their grandparents. I'm sorry, but then how can you call yourself a Hindu? What is the basis? You're just born into it.
yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know. If I met more Hindus that spoke the way you do, I might not have left, but nearly every single one that I spoke to. And then I talked to these Hindu Noahides, and they explain how they're able to meld them together and how compatible they are. And, it's,
It sounds a little cockamamie, but I mean, I empathize with you on that point because these people will call me secular, the kind of people, and yeah, they kick me out of groups and shit. So I get it. It's either kill all Muslims and Christians and become Hindutva, or I don't know what the other end of that is, like down with Brahminical patriarchy, I guess, but it's a simple reading of the original Vedas is now controversial. So, there you go. And Vedanta, what you're saying is like the Advaita Vedanta, I think, that you're talking about.
yeah.
Advaita Vedanta comes from the Upanishads, and Upanishads are summaries of the Vedas. So, without reading the Vedas, if you just read the Upanishads, you don't get the complete picture because they're only a summary.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Advaita Vedanta is supposed to be Noahide compliant because it promotes monism.
But Advaita without without the Vedas is meaningless because okay, like you say, the ever elusive Brahman, but then where did the deities come? Where does Shiva come? Where does Brahma come into all of it? And where does our role? Because if you read just the Upanishads, it sounds like this world is an illusion, reject it all, and materialism bad. So, but that's really not the point of the Vedas. That's the point.
No. Well, when I was a Hindu, I hated Upanishad. I loved Samhita Veda and I loved Purana. And I loved epic. I loved Mahabharat. I liked Ramayana. I liked those different kinds of things. But, first of all, it was very hard for me to understand Vedanta. But I don't know. I just didn't like it. But now, I mean, yes, I love Samhita Veda because it sounds polytheistic, even though it might not be, but it seems polytheistic.
I think so you're saying the Samaveda, but yeah, if to the untrained eye, I guess Hinduism is polytheistic. But all those deities are coming under Brahman. If you don't know that, then I guess so. But there's no taboo. There's no taboo on engaging with nature, engaging with your surroundings, and with the deities that are representations of Brahman, but not the full, like you mentioned. So I I get it. I get it where you're coming from, but I also understand the toxic nature of this quote unquote Hindu community, if you can even call it that. But yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, it's here. The thing is that whether whether look, you're saying that this Hindu Noahide is just some kind of nonsense, fugazi, put together, cobbled together movement. But the point is that that's the way it's moving. I mean, there's very few
Yeah,
Hindus that,
I don't disagree that it's impactful. Like you're saying, like people are following it and stuff. I don't deny that. I just would take issue with the fact that they call it Hinduism. That's all.
yeah, I don't know. What about Noahide Vedism?
That's hilarious, you know.
Noahide Vedanta.
Like if you just say "thou shalt not," that itself is like a little bit anti, anti Veda in my opinion. It's like, oh, you do not do this or you do not do that. Vedas more seek to give you an understanding of why.
Hmm. Hmm. Um.
But see,
Yeah.
it takes very little in India to change someone's opinion. Like a couple dollars here and there, and they'll change their religion. A little bit of rations. So it's not hard, and there's a strength in numbers, so it's not hard to win over a bunch of people, even if they don't believe in it, to get them to be mouthpieces for it. Because you say, oh, this means India will go ahead, and
Yeah.
everybody falls in line.
Yeah. Have you seen the Noahide schools in India that are popping up everywhere?
No, sir. Let me look at this. I had no idea.
Yeah. No, I have. You can look at it at. Hold on, I have a blog, but let me give you the right blog spot so that you can.
It's
It's
IndiaNoahidecommunity.com.
you've seen that?
IndiaNoahideacademy.com. Oh my God.
I never even heard that IndiaNoahideacademy.com. Hold
And
on.
then I got Hindu Judeo Freemasonry.blogspot.com. That sounds
That's
tricky.
that's mine, but I have one that shows all the schools. Hold on.
Oh, gotcha.
No, NoahIdeIndiaWatch.blogspot.com. If you type that in, you will find all the schools in the subversion that's going on. They're doing charities.
Um,
They're doing all different kinds of things. I put in everything that's going on in India with the Noahide laws, and they're doing fundraisers in order to expand their congregations. I found there's probably about 5 or 6 children's Noahide schools at least that I know about. And there's definitely more than one congregation. You can see the pictures and all that other
I'm
kind of
going
stuff.
through it. And this is your compilation, right? You
Yes,
done?
yes, this
Oh,
is
good
mine.
job.
Yeah,
Good
this is
job.
mine.
So, I see now. They're coming in through the Catholic, through the Christian communities.
What?
That photo, the photo that you have up there, the first photo of like
Yeah,
some nun. That looks like Catholic nuns, but I guess it's a Jewish community, huh?
it's a Noahide community. I don't know why some of them wear hijab. I've noticed some of them do wear hijab,
How interesting. Because that's
but
how the Catholic nuns dress in India, exactly like that.
yeah, no, but most of them, a lot of them are Hindu. I mean, I had a video of them complaining about how the husbands were asking the wives to do Murti Puja in the house and they didn't want to, and they didn't want to do Murti Puja, but their husbands were forcing them and what to do about it. So there definitely are Hindu converts.
That's funny because the husband doesn't even care usually. Husbands don't enter the kitchen. That's where the murtis are located. They just want their newspaper and boots polished in the morning. I don't know what they're talking about. Like how would they know they didn't do it? Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but stories are a dime a dozen. I get if you want to convert, you need some convincing tearjerkers. So I get it.
Claire, are you there? Claire? I guess she's not here.
I am, I dozed off.
Oh, you're here now?
Yes, I heard voices, but I did doze off for a bit. So you were discussing Murti Puja, and Annapurna was saying that she didn't think she was an idolater, and she mentioned also the Vedas and Vedanta, but I missed all that. I mean, I missed
Yeah.
the would
Well,
you like to sum that up?
she does consider herself an idol worshiper. Actually, I think you said that, right?
Because
On a,
she said,
No, I said no. I do not consider myself an idol worshiper.
why not?
Because I don't worship the idol or whatever, like
But
the
do you believe Brahm, um, Brahman in its full, in its full, in its fullness?
Brahma never is born and never dies.
Okay, but you do not believe that God in its fullness inhabits the Murti. You might believe that in a
No,
limited.
it's a life force energy. It's only prana. It's a prana pratishta. So it's a consecration of life force energy within the quote unquote idol, which it's idol is the wrong word. Maybe murti, you can say murti or whatever, but I think it serves as a container for consecrated life force energy, and temples or regions that people can go to feel that consecrated life force energy. That's why the negativity of somebody coming to the temple doesn't make the whole temple negative. And that energy is supposed to radiate out into the village, the surrounding village. There's different things, like temples had a wealth and lands set aside, so they would grow crops. They had gold and silver that would collect interest to provide back for feeding everybody in the temple, that those who didn't have food to eat, they could come there and eat. The arts were supported at the temple, dance and stuff. So I guess this is a tangent, but um, no, I don't think Brahman is in the idol. But Brahman doesn't mean God; it means the soul outside reincarnation. Atman is the soul within reincarnation. Brahman is the soul outside of the cycle of reincarnation, and Brahman is the supreme. It's the unknowable. It's the elusive. And even the deities, even Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, the highest of the three, even they are aware that they're only transitory. And in a lot of the Vedas, they're like, oh, come on, humans, like, get with the program. Even we know we are mortal. Even we know we are ephemeral. So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Claire, what do you think about that? So she doesn't believe Brahman, the universal soul, enters the idol, and yeah, she doesn't believe that. So is it
But,
idolatry?
but no Hindu believes that. That's clearly written down.
I know that's why it's not considered idolatry.
but Hindus bow before idols, and I suppose that is enough to trigger the the
Perhaps.
satisfy the definition as far as Jews are concerned.
But is it? We've been talking about we're talking about all these, Miri, Nachmanides, as long as Nachmanides said that you may venerate a planet as long as you know that the planet is secondary and that there's a higher being above the planet that is supreme. So if you can worship a planet or you can venerate a planet, why can't you bow before an idol?
Well, I mean that's I mean, it's quite specific in Judaism. It's like bowing before idols.
Well,
That is
actually,
a
no.
crime.
Well, no. The crime is avodah zarah because there's actually a specific word for avodah zarah that is bowing before idols. So, which implies that you can have avodah zarah without bowing to an idol, but also you might be able to bow to an idol without practicing avodah zarah.
Well, it's it's actually a thought crime if you think of what happened to Spinoza, because he said God is the universe, and
Yes,
it's
but
like,
Hindus don't say that. Hindus don't say that.
but I think
What's
You
that?
see,
Can you
whether
repeat the statement? What was that statement that you made, Claire? That he
I
said Hindus don't say that?
That God is the universe. That the universe is
Oh,
Brahman. That's not what Hindus
no,
believe.
universe is actually Prakriti. It's the female. It's a female principle. Brahman then becomes the male principle. So all that is manifest would be the female principle, or Prakriti, or matter. So, I mean, it's divine like, but it's not. The universe comes from God, but is not God. Essentially, that's the understanding.
Can't
yeah.
you
So
see,
so so
Claire?
God and His creation are separate. We agree on that, don't we, Annapurna?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Claire, can't you see how this is a complicated issue? If Hindus are conceiving of God properly, but bowing before idol, it might not be a Vodazara.
Well, yeah, but it's really a matter for rabbis to decide, and obviously, different rabbi, different opinion, and I imagine that the crime of bowing before idols is to, catch people out when they say, "Oh, we may bow before idols, but in our minds, blah blah blah," and I guess the ultra orthodox Jews are saying, "No, no, 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 no idols," and if it's anywhere around,
Where,
you're
where, where? I've showed you 5, 6 rabbis that say that Hinduism is Noahide. You have not provided one Orthodox rabbi that has condemned Hinduism. Not one.
I am talking about the crime of bowing before idols, which you already acknowledge it exists. They have
No,
a
but
special
I know, but
term.
there might be a yes. There's a vote. Okay,
Of
there
course,
there
we don't consider it that, right? Like y'all are aware, we don't consider that bowing before an idol.
Yes, I know you don't, but Claire's not understanding the point, or she understands it, but look, Claire, it's just that it's more complicated than all that. But yes, there is a term in Judaism where it's a vodazara with idols. There's a vodazara without idols. There's a vodazara, and so the question is, can you have idols or murtis? These aren't idols; they're murtis. Can you have physical representation of God without being a Vodazara? And Nachmanides said, I think Nachmanides said, yes, you can venerate a planet, but as long as you know that there's a higher one true God above that planet, it's not a Vodazara.
Well,
Now,
I think
would they apply that to Catholics that go into a church and do their thing? Like, is that idol worship too?
It's considered Shatuf because of the Trinity, and also more dangerously, Jesus Christ is a physical representation of God, right?
Okay.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
is a physical representation of God. It's actually God has entered into the physical creation. So they're in double problem because the Trinity is Shatuf. It's soft polytheism. It's not monotheism. It's not polytheism. It's in between, and God takes shape. So they say it's Shatuf. But the question is even Shatuf permissible? Some say yes, some say no. But back to the question, yeah, just because you're bowing to a murti, a physical representation of God, have you broken the crime? Have you engaged in what's called a vodazara or foreign worship? That's the question.
Yeah, I guess Claire will answer.
Claire?
well, okay. I know there is a strict definition and a less strict definition, and we just don't know which way a rabbi is going to jump, and the thing is, if you can always find a rabbi to agree with you on whatever, because basically they kind of sell their opinion, right? I'm Rabbi so and so, and I say it is or it isn't idolatry, depending on what you want from me, and that is why I keep saying that it it's going to be a problem. I suppose if you asked Muslims that, what are they going to say? Do you ever discuss this with Muslims, Annapurna?
Yeah, but it's the machine lies, and he's a Pakistani, I'm an Indian, so we share a lot of common cultural heritage, but I guess we agree that the Christians, the Muslims, and Hindus, we all worship the same God.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many levels to it. It's sort of like, right, we can all agree there's only one God, but actually, it's heresy if you think of God in a particular way, as Spinoza did. Have we discussed Spinoza?
Not
Who
you
was.
and I, not you and I, but I've heard of Spinoza through machine lies. Yeah, so I'm familiar.
Yeah, so basically, Spinoza was a Jew who wrote a book about pantheism, and he said God is the universe, with a point, I suppose, of saying he didn't believe that a living God exists, but oh, the universe is so beautiful, can't we just enjoy it without arguing about the laws of God? That kind of thing. I haven't read it, I don't pretend to have read it, but he got into trouble and he was excommunicated by his community in Amsterdam. So, and there was some, you know, um, Spinoza not really worshipping anything or bowing before anything, but just saying this wonderful creation that we live in is God, and
Okay,
and and the,
sorry. Just so you know, the term for a vodazara without idols is a vodazara shalob fanov. That
haha.
they have a term for a vodazara without idols, but I can't find the one with idols. But go
And
continue. You were talking about Spinoza and the universe is God. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh, no, no, so basically, some Jews can be so very strict that even Spinoza, who wasn't bowing before anything, and while saying God was one, was excommunicated for his heresy. I mean, of course, now people just don't really care about the whole thing. But I mean, we have to wonder what God Himself thinks of the whole thing, you know, because obviously we can shop around for a rabbinical agreement that most agrees with our preferences. But I mean, what does God really think? Is the question. And I suppose people are just going to be saying yes and no at the same time, and I guess that's not good enough. I mean, okay, but, my opinion on this is basically that if you're not following any book of rules, then you're not really getting the benefit of the religion. Because Muslims say, oh, the Torah and the Quran are the word of God, and we should read it and understand it and obey it and get closer to God that way. I don't know if there are any rules you have in the Puranas and the Vedas and everything, but which I haven't read. I'll admit, Annapurna.
I haven't completely read. I'm only a small way through myself, so I may not finish in this lifetime. That's how long
Yes,
it is. But
yes.
yeah, there's a consequence. Law of karma does exist, so it's not, you can't just do anything and get away with it. And each puja or prayer ritual has very specific rules, like how you lay down the bricks for the fire at the fire pit. Everything has a rule. So
What
Claire?
about rules? What about things you must and mustn't do? Do you have any codified principles, sort of like the Ten Commandments or the
not
seven?
like that. The British did try to find. I guess they took like the book of Manu Smriti, and they codified that. But they were looking for something like the Ten Commandments in India, which is not to be found because it rests on the concept of dharma, your divine responsibility, what you're here to do. And that concept is explored in a lot of the Vedas, Puranas, but is the Puranas are given as stories to show example of how to keep dharma. So there's a lot of nuance. Like yes, do not lie, but then Krishna tells like a white lie in a moment of war where evil is like overtaking. You know, he basically he says, "Oh, this so and so has died." And it's the name of one of the warriors of the bad side, but it's also the name of an elephant that died in battle. So technically, he didn't lie, you know, but he did kind of deceive. And in that nuance, it was seen as okay. But then there's other areas like where somebody after losing the war, they were so mad, they caused a miscarriage of the lady of the house that won. And yeah, that was like direct spell, you know, energy just directed at her womb, and the baby died. And he that person is supposed to still be alive today, in suffering
Oh.
due to what is so there's definite. And there's Garuda Puran. This not at all famous at all, but I'm pretty sure it's Garuda Puran. But it gives you the exact punishment for every quote unquote sin. So you know, cheating the government, I think in the underworlds, your body is like put on nails, like things like that. There's a few punishments for poisoning people. You get like you get fried in a hot oil, like a cauldron of hot oil and things like that. Yeah, there's
Oh.
descriptions like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Claire, I asked Grok, what did I ask? I said, if Hindus do not believe that God inhabits their idols, would they still be accused of idolatry under the Noahide laws? And it says, use of idols as a focal point. If, however, Hindus understand their practice is merely focusing devotion through an idol without attributing divinity or actual presence to the idol itself, this might not be considered idolatry in the strict sense of Noahide law. Here, the key word would be the intent and belief. Belief in the idol as the divine. If there is a belief that the idol becomes or houses the divine, this would likely be seen as idolatry. Idol as a symbolic aid. If the idol is purely symbolic and there's no belief in the idol itself being divine, some interpretations might argue that it isn't direct idolatry. However, this is highly nuanced and depends on how one interprets Hindu theology and practice. Lastly, Maimonides Rambam in his Mishnah Torah discusses idolatry extensively, focusing on actual worship or service to an idol as idolatry. If Hindus do not believe the idol itself is divine but use it only as a means to focus devotion, this might not fit his definition of idolatry for Gentiles under Noahide law, providing there is no actual worship of the idol as a deity.
So it's yes and no.
No, it's not yes and no. If Hindus don't believe the deity is in, if they don't worship it as a deity, then it's not. Well, it might not be idolatry, which I've been trying to tell you from the very beginning.
Well, it is sort of saying yes and no, because you're kind of saying that all these idols, yes, they do bow before it, but they say they don't really worship it, and obviously, you know, for you know, a purist rabbi or Muslim, it's like, yeah, it's idols. What's the problem with recognizing it as idolatry? And and I guess, you know, there will be, you know, people sometimes wanting to be strict and sometimes wanting, you know, to be liberal about the interpretation of it. So I guess, but I mean, you can imagine, you know, the position of an ultra orthodox rabbi, you know, or a very fundamentalist, you know, Islamic scholar. They'll definitely say it's idolatry. So I guess that was why they called it bowing before idols. So you know, I guess a lot of, you know, people have been saying, oh, but we, you know, we just use it to focus our minds, but we don't really worship it or whatever. And you know, I guess the sages of you know, Judaism said, no, we can't let them get away with it. We're going to say bowing before idols, and if they do that, whatever they claim to be doing, you know, they're guilty. So I guess, you know, but you know, it depends on who is a judge and who is asked about these things. But ultimately, it is about God, if he exists, saying, and his view, because his is the only view that matters. But Annapurna, I was going to ask you if you would agree that Buddhism is codified Hinduism. Would you say that that's what it is?
Let's go ahead, answer. Go ahead, answer, because then I want to say something else, but it's okay.
Well, I don't care either way. Let them call us idol worshippers. Because is this the same type of rabbis that say it's okay to abuse a 1 or 2 year old because it's like poking the eye and they won't really feel it and all that. So, for me, it's all right for them to say we're not the same. But I have a feeling that they're not gonna let this slide, Claire. And this is like Vincent is saying. It's about amalgamating Judaism and Hinduism, even if they may be opposed in a lot of ways. And I'm
Is this
willing to
something
accept
you
that they are.
agree with?
What do I agree?
Do you agree with this merging of Hinduism and
No, ma'am, I do not.
you don't? Okay,
Do not.
okay.
And I wanted to point out that it's just a few thousand Jews in India. No, in 1.5, 1.2 billion. It's like a
Indians.
billion Hindus, 300 million Muslims, millions of Christians, and then few thousand Jews. That's it. But they're doing a good job. And, already 100 years ago, they created Bollywood. That's a Jewish industry. And it's an open fact. It's not like a hidden, like the earliest stars, Indian, Hindu and Muslim women started unchaste to be on the screen. Even sex workers started unchaste. And so they had to import Jewish ladies, and give them Indian names and shit. So what I'm trying to get at that with that point is that I think it's been going on for a while, and I'm not for it. And I think it might, what Vincent is saying, even though I disagree with that phenomena, I think it might already be in motion, and a lot of our political leaders might be in that mindset that you're putting forth, the Noahide Hindu.
Yeah. Wait, Claire, I just want so when I asked it, Grok, it prompted me to ask about Hindu theology. So it says representation, not incarnation. In Hindu theology, murtus, idols, or images are not seen as the deity itself, but as representations or manifestations of the divine. They serve as focal points for devotion, meditation, and worship. The idea that through the idol, one can connect to the divine essence or energy shakti of the deity. One more thing. Sirguna Brahman versus Nirguna Brahman. Hinduism acknowledges both the formless, attributeless, ultimate reality, Nirguna Brahman, and the divine with attributes, Saguna Brahman. Idols represent the latter, making the divine accessible in a more human, understandable form, while still pointing towards the formless, ultimate reality. The term idol worship can be misleading when applied to Hindu practices. It is not about worshiping the physical object, but using it as an aid to connect with the divine. So even so, Nirguna Brahman, the formless outside space time, never enters the idol.
But Claire, what's your position? I'm a little confused on what you're pro-Jew. Is that it?
No, I'm not pro-Jew because they don't like what I say. I mean, as far as idolatry is concerned, I'm just saying, in my view, the Quran is the best available guide to humanity, and Jews, Christians, and Muslims are supposed to worship the most powerful being conceivable, and therefore, if Westerners want a new religion, they should be choosing one of the Abrahamic religions, and they're not Jews,
Got it.
and Christianity has failed, and therefore there's only one choice for them. That's my position. But actually,
Thank you.
Islam is quite tolerant,
Wait, 1 second, Tama.
and basically, Islam does protect freedom of belief. with chapter 2, verse 256, that says there is no compulsion in belief. So, and my position is that the Quran does not forbid idolatry. It does say, don't do it, but, it doesn't, punish you for doing it. And if you read the Quran, it's always saying, these non-Muslims, what shall we do with them? And, so it assumes that in any Islamic state, non-Muslims exist, and they have rules for dealing with them. But I mean, my position is really that if you don't follow the best available guide with its clear rules, then people will just make up stuff, and say, it's Hinduism. I'm the high priest of Hinduism, and I say Hinduism is X, Y, and Z. Which often they do. Like David Cameron said, marriage is gay. He legalized gay marriage as a Conservative Prime Minister. So I think that is a danger when you don't have
Indeed.
codified
And
principles.
well, even when you do, because this problem with what you're saying about priests and all that has been going on for over 500 years. Because you don't need a priest to do any ritual. You can read the Veda and you can do it yourself. The instruction is there. But people are a little lazy and, they want to do their office job and not really. So they contract a priest, but then it's also a show of opulence that you can afford a priest to do this and shit. So, yeah, priests are some of the most rich people in India. They got all the prime real estate. The guy had a Royal Enfield. I remember the priest that came for the funeral, one of the funerals around my family in my childhood, he came in on a Royal Enfield. You know what that is, right, Claire?
It's a car, but I can't imagine
No,
what it
it's
looks
like a Harley Davidson motorcycle, but it's English.
Oh.
It's popular,
That's
in
very
the 40s and
unpriestly,
50s.
isn't it? I thought it was some luxury
No, the
car.
guy thinks he's a fucking badass. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Oh my
it's not
God,
gonna-
he thinks he's a Hell's Angel or something.
Exactly, with his little, garb. He goes around in his, traditional garb on his motorcycle and shit. And he has a lot of property. Like the best property in Mumbai city belongs to that guy. But that's just one. It's just one. And these fellows are the ones that I cast suspicion on. With regard to what is that? What were you saying? Like high priest? Yeah, I know what Hindus. I am the high priest, and it's all me. And the charge for a funeral, for India, this is a lot. 10 years, 15 years ago, was like $2,000. Just for the priest.
Claire, I have to step away for about
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 minutes. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll be back. Maybe you two can talk for a while.
Yes, we will.
Take care, Vincent.
Yeah. So I think that is a difficulty, and even when you have codified principles, people just ignore them anyway, right? And
Yeah,
I was reading.
that's how the caste
to-
system became by birth. Like it became upon birth. Because the
Sorry,
caste,
what came upon birth? I didn't catch what you were saying.
the so-called caste system.
Uh-huh.
So it's the correct word in Sanskrit is varna. Varna meaning, your position in society. Basically, what your job, quote unquote, job or occupation is, and it was designed to get people where they were most needed. It was never, oh, you're born into a Brahmin, so you will be a Brahmin. That wasn't ever the case. So, but it did become that way because people just started doing whatever the heck they want. Really, it was the Brahmin people that started to say, oh, well, I'm the arbiter of truth. And according to me, all of y'all are beneath me and, you can't touch me. That started happening. Like you can't physically touch. You can't walk in the same street as me because I'm the representative of God.
Yeah, I was talking to this, I was in the same space that Vincent was hosting, and there was this Hindu Noahide. I don't know if you were aware of it, but anyway,
No, I'm not familiar.
I'll send you the link to it. So, are you on Twitter?
No, ma'am. No,
Okay, okay.
but I can see stuff on it if you send me a link.
Yeah. Um, so basically, he's this Hindu um in the UK, and he's an engineer, not a software engineer, and he's this no hide, and so we were asking him why he, you know, why he was a no hide after he said, well, he's a bit of an anti-Semite because he didn't like seeing what the Jews were doing to the Gazans, and then he said, well, he actually agreed with the Muslims a lot. He agreed a lot with Muslims. So we said, well, why don't you convert to Islam? And he's saying, no, 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 because of status reasons and whatever. And he get, and then
Absolutely,
I
I
did
get it.
ask him what caste he was, and he said, well, I'm the warrior caste. But
Oh
he's an
shit.
engineer now, right? He's an
Yeah, so what's
engineer.
he doing a Brahmin job? You know what I'm saying? Like that's he's born in a warrior class and he's doing a quote unquote knowledge keeper job. But when you said engineer, I realized, I'm sorry, I come from a family of engineers and doctors, but it's a status game in that career. It's not really, like what I'm getting at is I feel he will do anything to be on the right side of the majority.
Yeah, so a lot of religion is like, do I think this religion will raise me in status or lower me in status? And maybe, actually practicing its principles and actually believing in the afterlife is secondary for
Secondary,
these
yeah.
people.
Yes, ma'am.
So, it's like, well, the basically hypocrite. So I was complaining about Carol. Did you speak to Carol? I just have this
I
memory that
did.
you.
I've heard her speak quite often. And
Right.
then I played some of y'all's show on my channel where she came in and she gave her like view, and then SJJ was there. And then after that, I think SJJ and the Machine Lives did an interview as well. So yeah, I think I know Carol's like manifesto for lack of a better word.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yes. So she shocked me really when she said that, as a Muslim, she would not be supporting Sharia until, or any of the hooded punishments, particularly the hooded punishments, because we're all so corrupt and government is so corrupt, until the Mahdi comes and the end times are here. So I was going,
She
what?
said that?
What? She said
Damn.
that, and I was going, what?
Unexpected.
So she's basically an atheist, really. She's not going to, stick her neck out and say anything that is in harmony with the religious principles that she claims to have until she's absolutely sure, and the world is about to end. And before I, asked any questions, she basically rage quit and blocked me.
Oh wow. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh God, because that would be a little hypocritical of her to say that, after her position.
I'll send it. I'll put it in the link because it was actually quite funny. Because she's like, "Fuck off," and I'm sick and tired of you, telling me how I ought to believe my own religion, and you're not a Muslim, and how dare you tell me that my beliefs are incorrect.
Well,
But,
she
but I
don't
thought it
have
was
no
quite funny.
problem telling other people how to believe,
Well,
in my
yeah.
humble opinion. Maybe not in religious terms, but it's pretty clear she has like clear instructions for the youth of today. Maybe it's just a frustration with her grandkids, I think.
No, I think, I guess people don't want to be, question about their beliefs, right? Because,
Oh yeah.
it's sort of sacred and they're not really sure, but they've, believed in it for so long. And if you tell them that they're wrong, they're going to be so offended. And it's like, because there's this new word called, how dare you question my lived experience? And it's like, well, you could have been wrong. You might have
Yeah.
been mistaken. It's not sacred, but apparently it is. So, I was just sort of reeling with shock from it. Like how all the time I thought was she was this Muslim, and anyway,
Well, she's not. So
but I
it's
guess
the
there
same
are a lot of people
attitude.
with odd beliefs.
I agree, but it's her same. It seems like she got out of Christianity because she didn't want to believe Jesus Christ was God or something. And then she took
Yeah.
refuge in Islam because like it kind of like allows her to still be an atheist and and like say she's a Muslim.
Well, I mean, she probably thinks she's going to heaven, sort of thing, right?
I see.
Um,
Okay.
but um, because I guess people, kind of think that. I mean, of course, we don't know. I'm not saying anybody's going to hell, but it's like, oh, but actually, there's a chapter in the Quran that says hypocrites go to hell. So, and what does this mean? Well, I guess a hypocrite is somebody who pretends to hold beliefs that they don't really have in the hope of, obtaining a higher
Like to
status
be
and
with
being with a cool gang
to
and
be with the
that kind
group.
of
Yeah.
thing.
To make sure they're in with the right group at the right time. She's making sure she's waiting until the very end. Yeah, that's hypocrisy to me. But I don't know. I don't know until I come in front of God what's gonna happen. I'm doing my best to live a good life and follow, but I don't pretend to know that I'm saved or whatever.
No, no, I mean, obviously, we might think we're going to heaven, but, tomorrow we might commit some terrible crime. And, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that what I like about the Quran is that it closes all these emergency exits for people who, think they can get away with it. It's like, I'll just pretend to believe, I'll just go along to get along. And this is doubtless what a lot of Christians thought, because actually, in a way, they have a kind of ready made excuse because these Europeans, when they lived under an absolute monarchy, they had no choice but to follow the religion of their king. And if they questioned the Trinity, they'd be burnt at the stake. I mean, that was how things were run until there are
Right.
all these revolutions, the English Civil War, American Revolution, French Revolution, and the Russian Revolution. So because they were saying no more monarchy, no more absolute monarchy, and no more Christianity, and I guess liberalism has stopped working, which is why they're in so much trouble.
So that's why people like you think Claire would have been a liberal? Yeah, she was, right? She was smoking pot, reading Rumi, and listening to Ravi Shankar. That's what I heard her
I
say.
don't know if she was smoking pot, but she might have been because she said she was, a kind of hippie. Um,
All
but
right.
um, but I think there's a problem. Okay, so I was talking today about this lecture by this rabbi, an ultra orthodox rabbi, and he was just complaining about the Jews, like they're all wrong. They believe in nonsense, and then they lead each other astray, and they say plainly heretical things, and the thing is they can't discipline each other because they don't have a hierarchical structure. There's nobody to excommunicate them, like the way they excommunicated Spinoza, because they're not even, that organized. Because Judaism is really a religion of social clubs. You don't like this shul? Well, we'll open another one down the road, and because it's literally just a
True.
social club.
True, but they still have like They got like their little thought police gangs and shit, like think tanks and stuff.
Well,
I guess
I think
that's modern though. Yeah, it's not an institution that can say you're no longer a Jew.
well, I guess the thing is it it would matter terribly if the Gentile were not so welcoming, but now they think, well, if we're going to be treated equally as Jews in the country of the Gentile, then it's not such a bad thing to be kicked out of our community. So we're not that bothered if we're kicked out because the locals are so welcoming. It's sort of like Catholicism, right? It used to be a terrible
I
thing to
see.
be excommunicated, and then when they stopped taking their religion seriously, nobody cared about being excommunicated.
Are you saying Jewish people don't take their religion seriously
Yes,
today?
yes,
Okay.
I am.
I feel they take it very seriously. And again, it's just a polite disagreement. But behind closed doors, well, then why are they thinking like a monolith? That's what I'm asking. Like, what, what
I don't think they think like a monolith because if you you know there is this reported characteristic of Jews, like two Jews, three opinions. I mean, don't you
is
find
that
that's
so?
true?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they're
yeah.
still gonna fuck you over when at the end of the day. Sorry, but in dealings, just in deal, I've had some Israeli clients in the past. It's just they may seem to disagree, but in the end, they're all together to fuck me over. When the bill arrives or whatever.
Okay, so I'll send this Yaron Reuven talk because he was saying, oh, it's really terrible. These Jews, they pretend to go along with you and pretend to be so honest, but they cheat each other, and it's really terrible when they cheat the
Do you
Gentiles. In
think that?
fact,
Do you think that's? I mean, I find that might be true. Like behind, in their own dealings, like they probably cheat.
I honestly don't know. I'm sure they cheat each other left, right, and centre. I
I
mean, in
see.
the same way the Gentiles cheat each other left, right, and centre and don't obey the rules. But I think it's a kind of who tells the truth anymore? Everybody lies, everybody cheats. So why not? And if you don't do it, you're going to end up a loser. So everybody gets on board this wagon of cheating and lying and saying yes and no at the same time, and I think and that is a problem. It's a culture that makes everyone dishonest. So I think that is a problem, and I don't think. I mean, if you want to say, oh, who corrupted whose morals? I mean, you could easily say that the Gentile corrupted the morals of the Jews, right? I mean, you could argue that and
Maybe,
not be.
maybe, but at least in India, like like the Jews were the first people to bring in short skirts, the kiss on screen, cleavage in traditional dress, drinking on screen, party culture in Mumbai, India. First Rolls Royce in India was a Jewish actress. So I mean, what I see, even in the Weimar Republic, they were the source of degeneracy. But then, this is going into like the protocols of the elders of Zion and shit. I don't want to go too far off the deep end, but uh, the idea is to be anti-Semitic in order to favor Jews, right? Like, so if you're anti-Semitic and like then you can create this uproar, like, oh, everybody's against us, we're the victim, and then you can sit around and collect money for the Holocaust 70 years in the future. So that's what I'm getting at.
Well, the thing is, the American Empire wants to promoted this myth really. I mean, okay, no, I didn't mean myth. This narrative that the American Empire, has to protect Jews. because if they don't protect Jews in Israel and in the West, the spectre of Nazism will rise and take over everything, and that's why they have to be so strict
Indeed.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they have this narrative, but I think the end result is nobody can question the presence of the American Empire in Israel. So
Or
the American
Israeli
government.
influence in America, really. I mean, Israeli, like, America is nothing compared to Israel. You try getting into the country of Israel as a mere tourist, and you have to give your phone up and go through like an interrogation. You might be put in jail, and that's just their immigration process. But I think a lot of Israel interferes in U.S. politics. I can't say for sure, but what I have seen in India is there's a couple towns. Man, this shit was like real hard for me to see, but there's towns where there's stuff in Hebrew in the middle of the desert, and there's a bunch of Israelis just living there, So, and the Indians are the goyim catering to them. So yeah, yeah, it's and they love India because people are subservient to them, and they can get great service and treat people like shit, get cheap stuff, and Bollywood. So it's the perfect match for them. But yeah, I would not doubt the Iron Dome's influence here in the U.S. at all.
Do you ever think that India might be a 51st state of America?
India? Oh, I think Canada is getting closer to that, maybe. But
I was thinking of the
in
Union
many ways,
Carbide disaster years ago.
oh, the Bhopal gas tragedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say it already is the production arm of the U.S. So what does that mean? A lot of the policies are based around benefit for not just American, but mostly because they see America as a highest disposable income in the world. So yeah, they all of the foodstuffs manufactured here, electronics, fireworks, textile. I mean, all of that has been moved over there in the last 30 to 40 years. So I think it's already an arm of the U.S. and more like not even an arm, like maybe a commonwealth or like a lower status, like much lower than the state. And we have in the last 10 years, we've got Starbucks, Taco Bell, McDonald's came in 20 years ago. And all this is seen like as a big celebration in India. It's like, oh wow, look at this globalism bringing progress to the country and shit. So the politic people are definitely in the hands of the world elite, I would say, not just America, but the world elites. And there's been interbreeding. So there's like straight up white people in the government. Italian lady almost became prime minister, but it was illegal. So even though she won the election, she couldn't ascend to the throne, so to speak. But yeah, like half of the Gandhis. I mean, they're not even Gandhi. They just took that surname. They're white people that married Nehru into that family. Nehru was the first prime minister of India. But yeah, so it's pretty damn obvious uh, in India, at least to me.
Do Indians ever talk about unification with Pakistan? Reunification, I should say.
Yeah, a lot of the Hindutva people want it back because they see that as Hindu land. So I don't know if they're okay with the Muslims in Pakistan. Most Indians are not. Most Indians, they want it gone, but that's because Pakistan also, their national anthem has a line like "We'll take over India" and shit. Like "We'll take over what's ours." So it's really quite tense, and I feel each country wants to take over the other, but it won't because it's the only thing. It's like it stops India from becoming a monolith that Russia can control, essentially, because Bangladesh is on the other side. Then there's Bhutan, which was Myanmar before, and even Tibet. So China and Russia, certainly profit off of us not becoming a cohesive unit over there.
Yeah, my solution then would be secular Quranism with Indian characteristics or greater India characteristics.
You mean to put into Pakistan, like when it becomes part of India? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So you'd have, because I'm saying that secular Quranism tolerates is cool with idolatry. It's very serious about freedom of belief, and for that reason, it shouldn't be found objectionable, by anyone whose religion is not, Islam. And
Got it.
yeah.
Hey, Vincent.
Hi, Vincent. I'm trying to sell Annapurna secular Quranism with Indian characteristics.
I'm not the tough client. It's the Hindutva folks that need convinced.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, no. What have you been talking about?
Oh, well, I was talking about secular Quranism with Indian characteristics, and Annapurna told me to knock on the door of Hindutva.
Okay,
And see if
Claire,
they like it.
Claire, why don't you just make secular Quranism with Vedic characteristics? How about that?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Okay, why? What? Oh, so you think that can be secular Quranist Hinduism?
I'm saying India can adopt secular Quranism
No,
and
no, no,
still
no.
allow.
I'm asking, can there be secular Quranist Hinduism, not India? Let's forget India. Let's say, could there be secular Quranist Vedism or secular Quranist Hinduism?
I'm not comfortable with that idea because it would be saying like secular Quranism with Jewish characteristics. I would say Israeli characteristics because all this idea is
Yeah,
to
because how can you be
place it
secular
in
and Hindu? No, that's my point.
What did you say?
It couldn't be secular and religious, right? Because secular Hinduism would still have a religious. It wouldn't be secular.
Yeah, it would make sense. That's a thing. So it's like, it's for the secular Indian government to interpret these principles
And I
and
think,
apply.
like, maybe you get together with Prime Minister Modi or whatever and propose the takeover of Pakistan with secular Quranism. That might fly. I'm serious.
Yeah, it mightn't it? And then you think, well, are you sure? Can we? Yeah, that would be good.
Oh,
Absolutely. Like, what would make his career more than like getting back Pakistan for the Hindus? Can you imagine?
Yeah, I can imagine Modi saying, "Come on, Pakis, you can't say fairer than that," you know.
Exactly.
um, Annapurna, are you on Twitter?
No,
She's
I'm not.
not. I've
But
asked
I
her
can
Oh.
already.
look at something if you send me something.
No, oh, I want to interview you, but if you're not on Spaces, I guess I could. Well, we've already interviewed you. It's on Claire's channel. I can, but I interview. If you go to that Hindu Judeo Freemasonry, I've interviewed 2 Hindu Noahides. Just if you scroll through the table of contents, you'll find it. And I
I see it here. I see it here on your blog spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah.
Oh, you saw those 2?
I haven't watched them, but I see
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I was telling her about the Kshatriya engineer who
Oh,
was no.
can I ask you a question, Annapurna? What do you think of one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard? And that this engineer, this milk triceps, this Hindu Noahide, he agrees with Islam, and he hates Jews, but he decided to become a Noahide because he didn't want to lose status as a
That is right.
Muslim.
Yeah. Then we were laughing about that for a bit.
That's disgusting,
The
isn't
fact
it?
that he's an engineer alone gives me that away, you know.
But isn't that disgusting that he chose that because he didn't want to? Who does that? Who chooses a religion based on status?
A lot of
Vincent,
Indians
people
do.
kill for
Lots of Indians
status.
do that. Lots of Indians do it. That's why you got Muslim conversion going on, big time.
Yeah, no, I know.
But see, this guy, you know, he's in the UK. You'd expect him to think a little different. But
He was from
a lot
India.
of my family thinks that way. To be very honest, sadly.
He was from India, so it's not like he didn't understand. And he was, he was very racist. I actually had a few problems with him. The first problem was that he's not he. Okay, first of all, he dislikes Jews. But why does he dislike Jews? Okay, I dislike Jews because of the Noahide laws, and I really have no more dislike for them over that. But at least I have an ideological type of reason to actually something that actually
Based
his
in reality. Yeah.
his reason for not liking Jews is because of his personal experience with them. Like, just
Okay.
like, oh, like, I met some bad Jews, and so therefore now
There are a lot of Zionist Jews living in India, though, I have to tell you.
yeah, I know, and I know they do have bad behavior there. I heard that they have bad behavior.
Yeah, and basically, like, I have to kill every Muslim man, woman, and child. If not, they'll come rape your wife. They'll steal your children. Da da da. That's the mindset of those
Yeah.
people. But it's also young people, like young people that are pre-army, 18, 19. I don't know why they're living in India, but yeah, then they go off to Israel to join the army to do their mandatory service.
Yeah, no, I know. Look, I mean, what else did he say that really grossed me out? There was another thing that I wanted to tell you, but I can't remember. But on that blog, on the Hindu Judeo Freemasonry, there's I just showed this. They're trying to import Indian labor now into Israel because they've gotten rid of all the Gazans and have no more labor force. And so they need workers. And so India is going to become the new favored place. I think that Israel could swell its population with a Hindu Noahide caste under them, doing all the kind of work and stuff like that. So I'm really worried about.
That sounds like a likely strategy, yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm a little bit scared of.
Before you came back, I was just telling Claire that I traveled in my country, and I'm from India too. I came out here for college, but I did go to British school and stuff. So whatever. But in India, I went to British school. But what I'm trying to say is, in my country, I met a lot of people, like suddenly you go into the desert town, like one of the desert villages, and everything's in Hebrew. And there's these Israelis living there, and they love the Indians because they're subservient. They look at them as white people or gods or whatever, and they can get cheap stuff, good stuff, and treat people like shit. So yeah, they love India for that reason. I also seen a lot of them in Mexico for that reason. So
yeah, no, but yeah, I fear.
We're already the Goyams because this particular town I'm mentioning is where all the the pretty Indian jewelry and stuff, like the silver with gemstones.
Rajasthan?
All of that. Yeah, in Rajasthan, correct. In Rajasthan. Yeah. So there's also all these hemp clothings that are put for sale on Etsy. They come from out there. And I went there just to see the workshops, and my God, the Indians are so racist against our own. It's just hard. They wouldn't even engage with me. If a white person is there, it's like, oh, fuck you. This is a dollar sign. I'm gonna engage with this person. But I wanted to make sure that the stuff isn't coming out of sweatshops And I had no way to guarantee or verify that. And I spent like 2 weeks there trying to get into at least one workshop, but no chance. It's basically if you're not buying, get out of my store.
What do you think about the whole H-1B visa scandal?
So I avoided H1. I'm an immigrant, so H1B was like the news for me. When I was getting my papers, and I came here as a student. It's a lottery program, right? So you don't get just because you pay the fee and you apply, you're not guaranteed. You have to be picked out of a lottery, and you have no pathway to citizenship after it. So what is it but slave labor? What else is it?
Yeah, no, I
You
know.
leave your company, you get deported. You speak against your company, you get fired. So you ask for a raise, well, tough luck, bro, because this job is the only one keeping you here, and you cannot apply for another job. Like you have to like kind of finish that contract. It's
Yeah,
very
no, it is slave labor, and it's yeah. I mean, I'd rather just um, okay. I think what they should do. Well, I don't know if you look. I'm an accelerationist, so at this point, I don't think the Noahide laws can be stopped. So I'm just like, let's just hasten it. Just like hurry it up so that the faster it collapses, let's just get it done with, and and put it on our timetable and not theirs. So I also believe with this Hindu Noahidism, I believe in accelerationism. So I'm just like, fine, they want to import Hindus. I don't. Well, do you live in America? Hello? Oh, she must. Oh, She's on mute. She must have stepped away for a second.
I think she said she is living in America.
Okay, but I don't think she can hear me, or she's gone, or I wanted to say what I was saying.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. I got a call. I was listening
Yeah,
to you.
yeah, that's what I thought, that you got a call. Anyway, what was I saying? That I believe in hastening the Hindu Noahide alliance.
I
So I'm like,
understand.
are you in America?
I am. Yep.
Okay, so that all of a sudden Hindus have become very, very powerful, and I'm not just talking about the three elections. I'm not talking about Tulsi Gabbard or Kash Patel or Vivek Ramaswamy or Usha Vance. I'm not just talking about that.
Well,
First
it's
of
been
all,
for a while, no, with the Google and all that, because that was supposed to be my career. I was supposed
what?
to be an analyst for Google, but
Oh, okay.
I did not. I'm a cook, basically. That's what I do. But I cook
Okay,
for.
that's nice. That's nice. That's cool. That's fun. That's
But
fun. And
yeah, that's the status. Working for Google or some big software. That's
yeah.
all my family does that. So
But the thing also, I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about, number one, they're the richest, most educated religious group in America. They
do
have
you think
spent,
that?
yes, look up Pew Research.
Perhaps, but what about all these like crappy immigrants pouring in? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like the
No, but
migrant.
no, Hindus are the highest in wealth
Oh, there's
and
a lot of illegal. There's a lot of illegals that come in. Well, so I lived in South America quite a bit, and one of these times, or many of these times, I seen people get detained from India, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, out in Brazil and shit, because they're trying to migrate illegally to the U.S. That's what I meant. So there is like a low, like us Indians will employ the Bangladeshi or whatever. So there is a sadly a lower class that doesn't. Maybe many don't even know how to read and write and stuff. That's what I'm talking about.
well, I know, but the citizens, if you talk about citizens, of the state, Hindus have the
Okay.
highest
Okay.
have
I'm with you there. All right.
have the highest income, and education. They are overrepresented and are extremely represented in the administrative class of the society. They are in education. They are in government. They are in pharmaceuticals and science. They are in medicine. They are in whatever, textiles. They, you know what I mean? They have a lot of administrative power. Also, they
Right.
are
And I want to mention that this is a direct result of the U.S. government handing out green cards like candy in the 1960s and 70s. So what you're seeing now is a generational wealth from, people that are, what's her name? Carol's age. Like, so people that are now in their 70s and 80s, that came over and they were, yes, indeed, highly educated. Many of them got PhDs and stuff once they came out here. And of course, not to mention like property, right? Property ownership and stuff. But my view of that is that was encouraged. That's how a lot of my family came out here, is via that.
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and they're also way overrepresented in no. They are also they're concentrated in swing states, in states that could swing, and like, or swing counties more, so they can change elections. So they have a lot of power. Also, I don't know if you keep up with all these pacts and stuff. I read, did you know that Hindus have donated not billions but trillions of dollars in to politics?
You don't mean like common citizens, right? Like it's supposed to be these big players, like the rich guys.
Of course, the rich. I'm talking about rich Hindus, but how rich are you that you can pay, that you can get to
I don't
trillions
know.
of
That's
dollars?
not my league. That to me, that means you got some connections with the Indian government and shit. That's what that means to me.
No, not a single donor gave trillions. I'm talking about collectively.
Yeah, but like $1 trillion is a lot, right? Like even as a collector.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. How rich do you have to be if American Hindus have donated $1 trillion in?
I don't think it's like the layman, I don't think it's like the doctor or the engineer that's doing that. Because it has to be connections with the Indian government, Vincent. There's no other way. Like that the richest people in India are making like 40K a year. So
Yeah, but not in this country. In this country, they're more wealthy than Jews are. I mean, Miriam Adelson gave $100 million to Trump. So if that, how do you get to $1 trillion? That means if ten Hindus gave 100 million, that's $1 billion. So you need 100 Hindus to give $100 million.
each.
Okay, so then you would need 200 Hindus to give $50 million. So I don't know how many Hindus that you would have to. There's enough Hindus in this country that. Okay, so 1,000. Wait, what is a million? A million is
And 6
1,000th,
zeros.
1,000th of $1 billion. So that's 1,000. So then 10,000. If 10,000 Hindus donated $1 million, that would be $1 trillion, right?
I believe so. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay,
There's
so
10,000 people living in this country with over 1 million disposable income.
I think there's enough Hindus. I think that could there be 10,000 Hindus with disposable $1 million they could have given to?
Yeah, million's not that big. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay, so all you need is 10,000 Hindus to give $1 million, and you get $1 trillion. So they have gotten over $1 trillion. It's a lot of money.
Right.
A lot
But
of money.
whose interest do they serve? Because it sounds like Indians just drain their pockets to give to the Jews.
Well, they do that too. I mean, they do that too. They drain their pockets for a lot of bad causes. You know what I mean?
Agreed. So
I
to
don't.
me, it seems like they're kind of losing stuff. Like Hindus just 50 years ago used to be a lot more conservative about money and opulence. To me, it seems like they're just from what I've seen, right? My family, I've been to California visit, and they got like Maseratis and shit. So I'm the little errand girl, a pleb that runs to get them serviced when I'm there, and I cook and clean and shit, and these people have money, but they still treat you like that. But what it seemed like to me at the Maserati, I think it's a BMW dealership, is all of these Indian people were just trying to flex. Like they're just trying to flex their money rather than make like serious investment decisions. I'm not saying they don't. Like most of these people that you're mentioning that have 1 million plus, they got property, they got businesses and shit. But their children, it's like the weak men. I'm sorry, strong men create good times, create weak men. Easy
Yeah.
time. Yeah, so their children are. I'm pretty damn sure they're not going to hang on to it. Maybe Vivek's dynasty is secure, but a lot of these people I saw with Maseratis and shit out there at the dealership just trying to look cool. They might have a lot of money in the bank, but I wonder how much of that will be generational anymore. It has been thus far, but the way it's going, I wonder. Especially if you're throwing it at politics and shit, I wonder.
Yeah, we'll see. But look, they're disproportionately powerful in this country now and in the West. And India is about to become what the world's third largest economy. And and I really foresee a very dangerous India having a very great amount of power in the world sometime very soon. And I think they will be in league with Israel. And in the West, the Hindus will be in league with the Jews. And I really, really foresee, I told everyone it's too late. I've been preaching against Hindu Noahidism for a year and a half, and I knew this was coming, and it's too late. It's already here.
Yeah, Netanyahu and Modi are pals.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Claire, are you there? Claire?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and are you boiling with anger that even our friend here thinks that there's a potential for Hindu Noahidism?
Well, no. Annapurna has actually said that Modi might be interested in secular Quranism with Indian characteristics as a way of getting Pakistan back.
Claire, that wasn't what I asked. I asked, I mean, don't you see? Don't you see you have competition? Don't you? Claire, you ignored me and poo-pooed me for how long?
Not that long.
Well, you ignored me and poo-pooed me on Hindu Noahidism.
I've never ignored you. Look, Annapurna doesn't want this Hindu no-hidism blend thing. She doesn't want it. She was the one who said, sell secular Quranism with Indian characteristics with Modi, and Modi can get Pakistan back. And say, hey, Pakis, come back to India. It's going to be run under the principles of secular Quranism with Indian characteristics. Come on back in. So I think that's the way to go.
Well, but what is more likely, the already, rabbinically approved plan that's in place and moving forward right now, or like a total reversal into, secular Quranism? I hope Annapurna, that under secular Quranism there will be no usury allowed, and Claire admits this will lead to a decline in the economy and could lead to unemployment. And so she recommends state-owned slaves. People become state-owned slaves who are hired out, to get them. Okay,
and it would be humane. They
but we have slaves now, Vincent, my dear. That's what I'm trying to explain. Is okay, all these Hindus got power here. and they got some power in numbers and stuff in India. But the common man in India is worse off than ever. The standard of living, the value of the rupee, the surveillance, and taxation, all have come with Modi. So I think that maybe what you're right, Bruno. Maybe what happens is Noahide Hinduism, but I don't think that's a good thing, especially for the Hindu, the common Hindu.
Well, at least you now, you know, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to vindicate myself because I went around telling everyone, and people were like, "What? What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were, they thought it was
Is this the
retarded.
engineers that you're interviewing? The Indian
No,
engineers?
no, other people like no, just like year or two ago, when I was running all around writing all these blogs about Hindu Noahidism coming, everyone just ignored me or made fun of me. They were just like, "This is absurd." They thought I was crazy.
But Annapurna is not necessarily endorsing your idea,
No, she's not.
Vincent.
No, she's not. No, but she's admitting that it's happening.
I do admit it's a thing, yeah. I do admit, and I would even take it further back over 50 years. 50 to 70 years to the introduction of the so-called silver screen, at least.
She thinks Jews are responsible for Bollywood.
No, that's a fact. I can show you the Jewish people that began Bollywood. Yeah. So it is what it is, I'm not happy about it. And I think my country is long gone, very sadly, yeah. I have to admit that as well.
So is this country.
Well,
Uh,
everybody's
I
country is
meant
long gone, it seems.
but it seems like we might have a chance out here, maybe, yeah, maybe not, but uh
Well, the
we don't have
Iranians
the
got their
16
country
DC
back
out here.
again.
Hopefully,
The
yeah.
Iranians got their country back with Islam, right?
Indeed.
Annapurna, can I ask you, what do you, just off topic, this is 1000% off topic. Me and Claire were talking about it before. What do you think about Andrew Tate's move to become prime minister, which seems to be serious?
Oh, God. I think it's disgusting. I think that guy is disgusting. You know about the cam girl business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are the fuckers that end up governing us. That's what pisses me off, because as an Indian, or maybe even as a Romanian, try to talk against Andrew Tate and see what happens. Try to talk against Modi as an Indian. There's lots of people that dissented in the pandemic, but nothing was heard of it. Nothing came out of it. I heard it because I was in the country at the time. I was in India at the time. But it's not that everybody is blind and doesn't see what's going on. It's just that people like the voices like mine are just like told to shut up. And I'm a girl, so it's even worse. Like, fuck you, stay in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's too bad. That's too bad. Well, it's very interesting talking to you. I'm trying to think. This, I guess, will serve as I interviewed you, or it's up for people to hear and discuss. I mean, I wish you were an ex because I would want to do a space with you, but I know you're not. But
How does that work, Vincent? We can't like restream, huh? You can't restream via StreamYard or something to
no. Oh, I don't know about that. Claire would have to do that on this stream.
I do have StreamYard too. And I'm gonna drop my email in the public chat for both of y'all. You can get in touch with me anytime. I'd love to talk to you.
Okay, can you put it in the back chat too? Because I can't see. Put it in the
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll send an email to all of us. Okay. Oh, that's great. It's good to get your email. Okay.
Yeah, I could get StreamYard. I do have StreamYard, but I can get it up and running again. I no longer have the paid version, but
I have it for one more month. They gave it to me for $1. So if you want to take advantage and do an interview, I'd be glad to do so, and I'd be glad to share it on my channel here in YouTube as well.
yeah,
Oh, that's great.
yeah. If I don't know, can you stream it to more than one YouTube channel? You would need my
I
YouTube.
believe so. Yeah, you can.
Okay. Do you need my passwords and everything in order to do that?
No,
Probably.
no. In StreamYard, there's a little button that says, stream to your audience in the paid version. I can just enable it for you, and you click on that when we're in our stream, and you do the setup. I don't need to know any of your info.
Okay, great. Claire, did you send that email?
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
Okay. Yeah, then I would love to interview you about this because you do have a different. If you could, well, when you do, I don't know if you're going to go through that Hindu Judeo Freemasonry blog, but if you do, definitely look at Noahide Bruz. You don't have to listen to the whole stream because what's it called? I just put in the highlights. But
I'm actually planning to review that on my channel. I found it interesting, especially because he's an Indian guy, right? He's the actual Indian guy that immigrated to England, I believe.
which one? No, one is from India. Noahide Bruz is from India, and Milk Triceps is from India to UK.
Got it. Yeah, so both of those are interesting to me. And yeah, I wanna go through that line by line and see where I disagree with the interviewee.
Yeah. All right, so then I will look to I'll email you and ask you for a date that works best for you, and maybe Claire can join us. And maybe some of it would be a repeat of what we've already said, but it's just I would like to me and Claire were talking about a bunch of other things at the beginning of the stream. I don't know if anyone's gonna listen to this whole stream and hear everything you said, so some of it will be repetition, but I do have more questions like about creator gods versus deities, and I know you have very specific words. Actually, I'd like to get these specific words because I'm trying to explain myself, and I want to say on there, I'm about to start a new book club. I'm trying to learn. Look, when I was a Hindu, I realize now I was never a Hindu. I just read Samhita Veda and Purana and Epic and thought I was listening to polytheism, and I never got into Vedanta Tantra or yoga, which gives a different perspective. I was just reading lore that and hymns and stuff, and getting spiritual nourishment from that. But I did get this new book that's comparing Kabbalah and Vedanta, and that's going to be the next thing. But what I was trying to say is that yes, I mean, you seem to have knowledge, and you were talking about how the idol has Prakti and how the internal universe is what again? What is the female principle that is the material world?
Prakriti.
How do you say that?
Prakriti.
Prakriti. Prakriti. So I want to ask you questions like, I hear this Prakriti, and there's things that I don't 100% understand. And do you understand Vedanta?
I think I do, yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can talk a little bit more about that, because Claire makes fun of me because I say, oh, but Noahide Vedanta might work, and she's like, what is Vedanta? Can you explain it? Do you know what it is? And I got the book on yeah. Claire, tell her. Claire thinks there's a bunch of mumbo jumbo in that people should just focus on more mundane things.
On rules, yes. It's like, well, it's just speculative. What we think heaven is going to be like and whatever. But actually, I think I might have come across a version of Vedanta from a Buddhist. because I was saying, oh, so you're a Buddhist, so you must believe in reincarnation. And he said, no, no, not exactly. It's this whirlpool thing, and then it goes into another whirlpool for the next level, and blah blah blah. And I thought, oh, I bet that's Vedanta, but I didn't ask anymore.
No,
Does
I
it sound
don't
like
think
A little
Vedanta to you?
crazy. Sounds a
that.
little.
That's not Vedanta, is it?
No, it sounds crazy. Whatever.
Okay, okay.
Okay, no, Vedanta is okay. Advaita Vedanta means non-dual.
Non-dualism.
No, not one. It means not one. It doesn't even mean one. No. Sorry, that's not what it means. It doesn't mean one. It means not two. Advaita. It's
Non-dual.
not two. Non-duality, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yes. So I want to ask you questions about it and what it all means. Are you familiar with Tantra?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar with yoga?
Yes, I'm a yoga teacher.
Okay. So then we will be able to have a good discussion to ask you these things because I don't know if you go on that Hindu Judeo Freemasonry, you will see they are trying to mix Kabbalah with Vedanta Tantra and yoga.
Yeah, I reviewed a video about that a couple days ago, but yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, they're trying to unite it.
It's a cow worship, they say.
Also, they're trying to unite Vaishnavism. I think Vaishnavism will be the chosen. Vaishnavism will be the chosen sect because it's most monotheistic and it also is very sexually puritanical. You know what I
Right.
mean, or
Right.
tends to be sexually puritanical. They are. I'm going right now. The next book I'm going to review is Two Ways of Light, Kabbalah and Vedanta by James and Judd. But then after that, I'm going to review a book called Hindu Monotheism.
That sounds excellent, Vincent. Maybe I can join you on that. I find that kind of stuff interesting, whether I agree or disagree.
I will put you on my email list because
Sure.
I email out the chapter summaries. I read it and then I send out a summary, and so I will put you on the list for everything. And yeah. So well, we can do that, and we have to put Claire to shame because I've been trying to tell her. I said there's something to Vedanta. I told her there's something to it because millions of people a year go to classes for Vedanta. It cannot be absolute rubbish. And actually,
But it's not as old as you're aware, right? It's not.
What?
It's not as old as the Vedas. It's a tradition that says it's the conclusion of the Vedas. It's quite old, but it's not as old as the Vedas itself.
Would you say Samhita Veda is polytheistic or monotheistic?
I don't know. I would say neither. I don't know because see whatever they're saying in Samhita is the core, right? It's the core. So it's not outside of Brahman being the supreme. So how would you define it then?
It's
the
not
God-
outside Brahman being the supreme. I don't
Like
understand that.
it doesn't negate that Brahman is the supreme God, soul, whatever.
Yeah, no. And the hymn of creation is very interesting. I used to use that to justify my polytheism because it says, oh, if there is a God in the heaven, maybe even he doesn't know where it all came from, which, I said, okay, it's an opening for polytheism, but everyone's like, no, not really.
But that's referring to Shiva dreaming, right? Like he's unaware that we are in the dream of that he's dreaming and he's asleep. So how can he be the supreme? Then he's not Brahman. Right? So that there's a lot of it's complex. I don't say it's cut right and straightforward, but what does it mean when Shiva is like Shiva created all the other gods, even Vishnu and Brahma. So what does it mean if he's asleep and dreaming and unaware he's dreaming? So that means he's also in the process of evolution.
Claire, what do you think about that little revelation right there? Don't you see how this is so complicated and how people might be interested in this. See, this is one thing about secular Quranism that I tell Claire, and the reason, and let me finish, let me get this all out. Secular Quranism doesn't feed spiritual, it has no spiritual system. So it's just a legal system, and there's no spirituality to it. And people crave that. Now, let me tell you, the Noahide laws have the same exact problem. You are not supposed to have your own holidays. You are not supposed to make anything new up. The thing is that a lot of these people that are entering Noahidism, they miss their holidays. They have their spirituality. They might miss, things like whatever. And the rabbis right now, the rabbis are not supposed to invent a new religion for the Noahides, but they are, in that they realize the Noahides need spirituality. And so they are inventing things like the birthday of Adam and Eve for them to celebrate, but they're really not supposed to be doing that. The reason
Very
that
interesting.
they are fusing Kabbalah with Vedanta Tantra and yoga, because here's the thing: you are not supposed to add or subtract from Torah. Hinduism is pre-Torah, so it is not an addition or a subtraction. So it's not like Islam, where it's a supersessionist religion, which causes problems. Hinduism doesn't cause problems, and it can serve as a spirituality under the Noahide legal system. And that's what I'm telling Claire, that this Hindu Noahidism is so attractive, and she doesn't have a spirituality to attract people.
Oh, why? Because it's secular.
Well, actually, um, my spirituality would be, I guess, rabbinical, or in the Islamic Jewish stance about the oneness of God, and so it would be what I've learned through the study of Judaism and Islam.
It's
And
still dry. It's still dry. It's too dry for people. Even the rabbis are having problems. So this Hindu Noahidism is wet. It has
moist.
it has it has moisture, and people are craving that moisture.
Okay.
Claire,
Craving their
may I
mumbo
ask, like,
jumbo.
what religion is your background, like, or what were you born
I'm
into?
actually from a
Raised?
Taoist Buddhist background.
Oh,
Okay,
I see.
Claire, I'll be right back.
Are you Asian like me?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
Chinese.
oh, I see. Okay, I did not
Um,
know that.
right.
Good to know.
I mean, I have made a study of the different religions, and whatever, and I was trained as a lawyer, so um,
Wow.
it, I guess the whole idea is to make it easy to put into legislation, and that would be a start, right? It's so the whole idea is people know their rights because they know the law, and the reason why people think they know the law is they can remember things like, oh, the 5 pillars of Islam, the 13 principles of Judaism, 10 commandments, 7 Noahide laws, that kind of idea. So they can, at least remember, four noble, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, that kind of thing. So at
Got
least
it.
they can remember, yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's a kind of sad, right? That humanity is like reduced to that much, that they need codified laws to I guess keep them in check. But maybe
well,
to bring up
yes. I mean,
more.
I see them as safety rails because, if if Hinduism is whatever some corrupt priest in a Harley Davidson says it is, then Hindus are in trouble, right?
Indeed, yeah. Even if it's not, if it's not, it de facto is, because he's the priest and he's the one that's in demand to do the rites. So yeah.
Yeah. So what the rules, even if they're often broken, or made to be broken, at least tells you, is this priest doing the right thing? Is he on the right side of the law or the wrong side of the law? And we know, even from the Muslims, that when they have their laws, they often ignore it. But at least, we know what they're supposed to be, and that would be a start. I'm not, promising the perfect, society, but I'm just saying, just identify the problems so that, the only way to make sure people know their rights is to tell them what the rules are. I'm
I
trying to
get it.
find your
But my
YouTube channel.
mine I can leave it in the private chat just a moment. It's not it doesn't really come up. But what I was trying to say is to Vincent's point, maybe people crave like a higher level of thinking than just because that's like survival mode. The rule of law and whatever codifying the safety, that's like a survival, like a last ditch effort. But are we really that lost, like that we most people do not crave anything more than the mundane?
Well, I mean, as far as how to correctly think of God, I think actually I do go on about it a bit, but in a practical way. I don't talk about have any practical value, I think, but it's sort of like, yeah, I see it's important for us to believe in the afterlife because it's only when we think we're going to be rewarded, in theory anyway, that will do it. And then we can decide whether the theory can come into practice, because it's only we're just basically creatures of pain and pleasure. We seek pleasure, we avoid pain, but we know that sometimes pain is necessary for ultimate pleasure. That maybe we have to work hard in order to get the thing we want, kind of thing. You know. So
It's just
we're always conflicted because we're always told that the things we want conflict with the other thing that we want,
Claire, is this the first time you talked to
and that's why
Annapurna?
we need rules.
Claire,
Pardon?
is this the first time you talked to
Yes.
Annapurna?
No,
Are
I've
you
never spoken to her
impressed?
before.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
impressed.
yes, I was impressed last time, but this is your first time, isn't it?
Yeah, my first time talking to
This
her,
is the
but
first time you've spoken to her.
yes, I'm impressed. Either I'm talking to Hindu Noahides or, this now, I don't know. She's less disappointing than the other one. She's,
That's hilarious, but I bet I'm not as rich as either one of those motherfuckers, to be honest.
yeah, no, you have I don't know, you have well, if all Hindus were like you, I might have stayed Hindu, but, but
If that were
it's,
true, I would have never left India, to be very honest.
yeah, I guess that you are a little bit different. I don't know if what you're practicing is the true way or what everyone else is saying is the true way, but, I've I've left and I've become very concerned. And even if I'm wrong and the spirituality is sound and everything like that, look, this is the way they're moving. This is what they're choosing to do with their lives. I can't support the Zionist Hindu alliance. I can't.
No, neither do I. I don't support it at all. And, it's like constant arguments and back and forth in my family because they're all Modi supporters, as you can imagine. So
Yeah,
it's an interesting dynamic. But the reason I do what I do is the Vedas are important to me, and this age old teaching is important to me to understand and pass on to my children. That's all I can do, really. I can't do much else. If I want to remain alive, I can't go out and like show the corruption in the temples, even though I know it's happening and whatever corruption. and I'm from Mumbai City, so gosh, like you cannot walk a foot outside of your doorstep without encountering a result of what you're talking about. So yeah, I think there is some spiritual uh, reason for me doing what I'm doing, and yeah, my I guess my peace or my disturbance will be with God, whether it's true or not. But um, if not, it's just going to be lost. Vincent is just going to be relegated to the Hindutva groups, and because the rest of my country that's against that is atheist now. So no, that they don't want to believe in God. They don't want to read the Vedas. They don't want to understand. It's all just superstition and sloth. So it's either controlled by this Jewish Hindu group that you're talking about, or it's absent. So I don't want to be one of the absentee groups, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, I'm very glad we met because I feel like you validate. Well, for two reasons. You validate, though I have now been getting validation, but you as a Hindu, your validation is more important or more significant. In that, well, okay, unless you're a Hindu Noahide, I think the average Hindu is going to deny that. They're not going to deny that there's a Hindu Zionist alliance, but I guess they would deny that there's anything nefarious or serious going on there. You know what I mean? And you as a Hindu who are willing to say, yes, there is something nefarious and serious, like a serious endeavor going on there, kind of gives me validity. And that's why I want to stress it again, because Claire gave me so much problems. But also, yeah, you do have a different perspective, and it is nice to talk to you. And I want to talk to you about that, about, you have a deep understanding. You're a yoga teacher?
Yes, that's right. But I don't teach for money. I'm trained and I practice, but
Is it Raj yoga or like yoga, physical yoga?
No. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. That's what it's based on. Raj Yoga comes later.
But do you do, what is Raj yoga? Isn't that knowledge yoga? Like,
No, it's actually reserved for the Kshatriya class. It's only for the rulers and the warriors.
But isn't Raj yoga just explaining?
There's a few techniques. There's breathing techniques and like retention, you have to retain the perineum and do some breathing, and supposed to ascend the kundalini from the base of the spine to the top. There's a few. But Raj Yoga is put forth often by the Theosophical Society too, so that's why I kind of stay away from it.
Okay, so what kind you Patanjali's, but you're not doing
eightfold path.
What? No, but wait, you don't teach like physical. What is physical yoga called? Like the poses?
Asana. Yeah, I do asana. Yes.
Oh, you do asana yoga. Asana yoga.
Pranayama, and pratyahara meditation. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there is a talk as well, like to explore yoga shastra and things like that.
Do you know anything about cities?
Yeah, the Siddhi. Yeah.
I have a whole website exploring cities, because we could talk about that maybe on the show. I'll talk to you about. Have you ever heard of Christian Science?
I have. I heard of it from Louise Hay, actually.
Yeah, Christian Science, Mary Baker Eddy, No Medicine.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Well, it's very close to Vedanta. It's not perfectly Vedanta, but it is Advaita Vedanta, but it is very close to it. And I actually had an experience of Christian Science, and I have a whole blog on this too. So if you go into my blogs that you've been to, and you see up in the corner my picture and it says my profile, if you click on that, you'll see all my blogs. And one of them is called Christian Science Hinduism. I might have made some, I'm trying to expose Hinduism. I do make mistakes. I have to take things back, but I'm trying. But anyway,
I see the list. I see it.
Yeah. So if you look in there, something called Christian Science Hinduism. Here's Just
I seen it. Yeah, I clicked on it.
yeah. I mean, it okay because I had an it's close to Vedanta. So the thing is, it's close to Vedanta, but it's easier to grasp than Vedanta, and I'll tell you why. What happened to me? I was walking home from work one day, and I came across a Christian Science church, and I had known that they don't allow medicine and stuff like that, and I was just curious. Also, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and
Oh,
there's slight connection between the two. But anyway, I got a little bit interested, so I went in, and as I'm going in, they were just starting like that moment. Like I got there like in the beginning for the lecture, and they gave their lecture, and I wish to God I could recount that lecture that they gave, because it must have been the distillation of what Christian Science is. So I was there for about an hour, and we learned about it was about how to think about matter and reality. So I was walking home, and I remember I'm thinking to myself about this. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it in my head, and I allowed myself to believe it for a second, and all of a sudden I felt like I was high on drugs and having a spiritual experience. And I remember thinking that I could possibly walk through the wall on a walk through a wall that was on the side of me, a building. I was like, I can walk through this building. And then I like came back to my senses, and I was like, whoa, like, I was like, that's really, really weird. And I said to myself, that must not be true. I can't walk through walls. Like there's something there's
but
something
your
off.
energy body can, right? So if you study Vedanta, it's the Mandukya Upanishad that talks about the five sheets covering the Brahman. So basically, reality is divided into five layers, and the physical body is one of them. But then upon that is the energy body where the chakras are. But it's also the entire world around you. It's not just the physical body, as in your body alone. That layer comprises of all gross matter. And then you move to the a lighter layer, that is where the life force energy is at. That's where prana is at. That's the constitution of this layer. That's where the chakras are at, and that's where you could like because your energy body and the surrounding energy body interact as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's entirely possible, and some of the sages knew how to do that. I'm not going to claim I know, but to have that level of control is mastery, in my opinion. To have that level of control over your body. Um, and one final thing I want to mention on that is the diseases. Yeah, so in Ayurveda, the science of life and medicine, they the way they treat disease is in the energy layer. So not they don't treat the physical body; they treat the energy body for any ailment.
Okay. Yeah. But the thing is that I was like, there's something off in the milk here. I said, well, you're saying it's possible, but I thought my physical body could actually walk through this wall for a second. And I said, there's something off in the milk here. So after I left Hinduism, I started looking for things to negate it and stuff like that because I wanted to make sure I had made the right decision. And this girl posted a thing about Christian Science on her thing, and she was like, "It's almost Vedanta." So if you go to that Christian Science Hinduism, I started researching Christian Science and Vedanta. Two swamis, two very I can't remember their names. I can't remember their Indian names, but two very prominent swamis who were very prominent in America and in Europe um, wrote a treatise on Christian Science and Vedanta. And in there, they said,
Yeah,
yes, but
it's written here, Swami Abhedananda.
yes. And then there was another one.
So to me, the quote unquote Swami is not a title you give yourself. It's and that's known. Like other people call you Swami, other people call you Guru, but this is a fake name. I'm sorry. Like this is a name he's taken when he came to America or Europe. Like many charlatans, like they're most of them coming out here are charlatans. I'm very sorry to say in my examination of their work, but just the name alone, that's not his real name.
Yeah.
That's like Swami Vivekananda, like the great
Yeah.
teacher God and Swami, and then Abhedananda is, I believe, like a loving and happy knowledge giver. So let I don't deny that he wrote the book, and there might be truth to it, but you have to examine these characters too, like who writes these books and why.
Well, that's the story gets deeper because so I read their book and they basically said so what is Christian Science is basically saying that you can heal your physical ailments through proper thinking, right? And proper understanding of
Right,
reality. You can reverse cancer and all these
right.
different kinds of things. So they made the same claims. They said that through Vedanta, and they used the word Vedanta,
Oh
not
shit.
only they said with Vedanta, you can heal the sick, you can raise the dead, you can
Oh,
do this
oh,
thing, that thing. And so
that's
I
outlandish.
so I found it interesting. So I started writing about it, and then all the Hindus were like, "It's not like they were like city powers like that don't come from Vedanta. They don't come from Vedanta." But then they're like, "It comes from yoga." And so then I was like, "Okay, but
There's
yoga."
many paths. It can come from bhakti also. Just pure devotion. If you're so purely devoted, you can gain a siddhi. It's not necessary. It comes only from one way.
But there's another like what was I gonna say that
The Hindus
uh,
were arguing with you about the
yeah, oh
source of
yeah.
where to gain
So
siddhi.
then I had to show that yoga and Vedanta are kind of connected, and that Vedanta there's a continuum between yoga and Vedanta. Don't you agree?
Yeah. But what is
Okay.
Vedanta except what is it? Summation of the Vedas, right? What else is
Yeah.
it? And it's a philosophy. So what are they doing? Where does yoga come from? Yoga comes from Atharva Veda. So it's a moot point. It's a moot point that they're making.
So then I had to show that, but then I had to. Then what happened was I got deeper into the yoga, and I got into city. Like I started researching the city powers. First of all, I have Upanishad up there, and it does mention city powers in Upanishad.
Yeah,
So how could? But everyone was telling me city powers don't come from Vedanta or Upanishad.
based
It,
on what? Based on what? Because you're a white guy? I'm assuming they're just telling you some crap or what? that sounds stupid to say.
But then I found the city powers. I found, okay, this is the thing. Christian Science is like a logic system almost.
Mhm.
Um, it's like a way of understanding things. It's not just like people think Christian Science is just like deep prayer. No, it's not prayer. It's like it's
I thought
how
it
you
was law of attraction stuff.
it's how you think about reality.
Right.
It
So
gives
affirmations and like the internal conversation and I mean stuff like that, right? Like you're thinking
probably
reality.
Probably, yeah, probably something like that. But I found there was a paper that I found that showed the logic system of cities and why somebody believes they can change shape. Okay, I'll call now. 1 second. Um, why somebody can change shape, why somebody can grow big, small, whatever the eight. Actually, there's
Mm.
109, 108
Cities, yeah.
cities,
Yeah.
108 cities. So there's a reason to believe this. And then my question is, so this is why I'm trying to use Christian Science to get people to understand a point about cities. And I'm saying, why don't we believe in Christian Science? Because it doesn't work. Okay, if Christian Science worked, everyone would be a Christian Scientist. And then I go to the Hindus and I'm like, why can't anyone do cities? And then they have excuses. Oh, because you can't do it in this age. You're not supposed to. You're
But it's not
recommended.
something you covet, it's something that's given.
Yes, exactly. But we've never witnessed city powers ever.
Not in this age, yeah. That's right, not in this age.
Yeah. And so, but that's convenient, don't you think?
Well, it has to do with the fall of human consciousness. You just lose access. Like we're not fully human. That's what we have to admit. We've lost access to a lot of our ability. So
Okay,
this, thing is we have the ability to do it, but people don't access. We're on the computer, whatever.
I
I
have
should
to
be in the Himalayas meditating, probably. Yeah.
I have to go for a little while. I guess you guys will keep going, but I need to call and get Chinese and eat. So I'll talk to you guys soon.
Don't
But
have to tweet.
but
Actually, I have to go myself. So,
okay.
but maybe
Take
you
care.
two can have your own stream in a bit on your yoga thing and whatever.
Yes. Claire, do you find Hinduism more deep and like something to explore now?
I guess I went through a spiritual phase, and I think, telling people practical ways of doing stuff is better than, meditation and that kind of thing. I mean, because
Yeah.
they need to know what the rules are before they can feel good about themselves.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go, but we'll do our
I
stream
do
together
want to
on.
say that I don't think people should convert to Hinduism. I'm not for Hinduism like being a mainstream. All right. Take care, Vincent.
Okay.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming, Annapurna. Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone. Bye.
Good day.